veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no, I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say,
welcome in, everybody. Hey, we are back, and I'm telling you, we have got today with us, we have got Ready to Love Dallas is the realest, down-to-earth diva, Dallas Diva, and that is T. T is in the house. Welcome in, T, girl. What's going on?
Hey, y'all. Thank y'all for having me. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday indeed. Happy Sunday indeed. And you guys have been here before. You all know my girl, Kea Simone. Y'all know what's up. Y'all know Miss Kea Simone. She is co-hosting this interview with me. So we're going to go ahead and get started. How's it been going today? Has it been a real busy day? What's the weather like there in Dallas? Are you at home in Dallas?
I am. It's been a beautiful day. I think it was like
Nice.
80-something degrees today. So, yeah, I woke up, went to church with my best friends. We did brunch. And then I came home, took a nap.
I know that's right.
Cleaned up, did some laundry. And now I'm ending my night with y'all.
All right. All right. Well, we sure appreciate you being here, girl, because I'm trying to get some laundry. When Kea came in, I was downstairs getting the laundry together. Girl, it's been a day, and then this is like my third podcast today. This is like the third one. So we did earlier today. I don't know if you watch these shows, but we did Lifetime's Married at First Sight. The Denver season just started. Okay. So had a group, a lady with me on that. And then, we're doing OWN's new show, that show called Ready to Love, Make a Move with the ladies in it. We did that, so we covered that, and that's when and I gotta tell you guys, anybody say anything different about T, I do not believe it, because she has been such a sweetheart, such a beautiful, laid back, easy to work with person. Because when I reached out to her and said, you know what, it looks like this Ready to Love Make a Move live is going a little bit long. Do you mind if we push it back maybe 30, 40 minutes? And she was such a sweetie pie. So I don't care I don't care what the people say. I'm telling you, Taquilla is beautiful. She is nice. But you know what now? I'll tell you one thing. I don't want to make her angry now. I'm going to tell you that. What about you, Kea? Would you want to make her angry?
No, first of all, when is your birthday, Taquilla?
Virgo, September 13th.
Oh my goodness. No wonder. Okay. I'm beginning to understand a little better now.
But I'm an earth sign, so I'm really down to earth.
Okay.
So my best friend, she's that's her sign as well. So I'm a Libra and she's a September.
Ooh, we love us some Libras.
See?
We love Libras and Geminis.
Yeah, my daughter's birthday is in September, right around that time too. I'm not gonna get the exact date because my kids, they like, I don't know what you're talking about. Be on that podcast.
Oh, I got you. I understand.
Ooh, all the compliments are coming in, girl. They saying hello. Taquilla looks beautiful.
Oh, yes. Y'all. I love y'all, chat. I really do. Thank y'all so much.
She does. Everything she wears. And we gonna get into a little bit later too.
I like to be a different woman every time y'all see
every
me.
time you say
y'all interested in wanting it.
Yeah. Because I was gonna switch up my hair from dinner to the show, but I was running late. So I feel you, Taquilla.
Yeah, there's another one over here, right here. This lady right here, boy. If you don't have her on Instagram, you guys got to go check out author.kea.simone, and Kea is spelled Kea. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Right. So go ahead, Kea, and you were going to do some icebreakers, I believe.
Absolutely. So let's just get started with just a few icebreakers just to break the ice. So the first icebreaker is, Taquilla, coffee or tea?
Well, I love a little good tea time, but I'll take coffee any day. I'm big on a good coffee chat. The tea time, depending on what the day is, the time the mood was really going on. Tea time could be good, but let's go with some coffee.
And how do you like your coffee?
Black, no sugar, no cream. It's like that's the healthiest coffee. So I'm big.
That's true. Now that's true.
It is. I mess mine up because I do my favorite is caramel macchiatos with all that sugar.
I do get them from Starbucks. So I drink a caramel macchiato. But if I'm just making coffee at home, straight black.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming that you're drinking it hot because all these people that's drinking this
absolutely.
Ice, I'm sorry, people.
Absolutely hot. I cannot drink no cold coffee.
Coffee was meant to be drank.
It's meant to be hot.
Yeah. So when they ask you at Starbucks, like hot or cold, like hot.
I'm like hot. I'm not drinking no cold coffee.
Even in the summertime, I'm still drinking it hot. Like I can't.
Yes.
So the next icebreaker, city or country? Which do you prefer? Where do you prefer to vibe at?
You know, I've been vibing in cities all my life, so I definitely want to go out the country. I actually want to go to Maldives. I haven't been to Paris, so I actually want to go there too. So
that's on my bucket list as well. So
yeah, I got a whole bunch of places.
We can talk about that later because I was just like, I said, I think I'm in the wrong profession because when you go on those type of vacations, you need to be gone for more than 2 weeks. So
okay.
And the next icebreaker is text or call. I'm interested in this one.
Yeah, me too.
So I hate texting. I am a phone person all day. You can FaceTime me or you can call me. I'll respond to text. I mean, depending on the circumstances, I don't mind texting. I don't ignore texting, but I think picking up the phone, calling is very personable. It's putting effort in. I want to hear your voice. Like I can get everything I need to say out in a phone call versus going back and forth through text. So I'm a big phone call person.
Exactly. You can feel the tone as well. So if I don't want to talk to you, I'll text you like but if it's someone that's close with my friends, I want to hear your tone because I could tell Aubrey no about something and she'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you mean, Kea? No. How can you say no to me?
But then when I call my friends or my family, they'll be like, you could have texted. I didn't want to text that. I wanted to call.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and let Aubrey get into the deeper questions and I'll jump in. But thanks for answering those icebreaker questions.
Absolutely. I am not a robot, y'all. I am very much.
You know why they saying you a robot and they're saying you did not pass human verification? We don't do that over here on this channel.
In my coffee.
Well, she did scare me when she said.
Let me explain why. Because diabetes run heavy in my family, so I do sugar-free syrup. Like I really try. I don't want diabetes, so even though they're reversible, I'd just rather take precautions. So I don't put sugar cream in my syrup. So
no, you are absolutely right. One of my parents had diabetes, and that is a very serious thing. A few of my close friends. Very serious, and you don't want to get it and have to reverse it. It's best not to ever have it.
Yeah,
if you can help it. Right.
With that black coffee,
I drink Coke all day, which has the most sugar. I'm trying to get rid of the Coke, so if I'm gonna do a little sugar, it's gonna be a Coke.
Okay. Oh, okay. So if you're gonna have your sugar, you're gonna make sure it's a Coca-Cola, as my mother used to say.
Y'all.
And let me tell you something. I don't know if I told you this, Taquilla. We've been kind of chatting, getting to know each other as this. We've been getting closer to the interview. My mother, now I'm here in Detroit, Michigan, born and raised, second generation on my dad's side. But my mother was a Southern Belle from Houston, Texas.
Let's go, Southern Bells.
Yes. So I very much relate to the Coca-Cola of it all. Yeah. But no, what I wanted to do, I wanted to just go ahead and give you the floor and let you tell us, if you could tell us a little bit about what life was like, because I believe you may be a transplant to Dallas, if I remember correctly, but you go ahead and tell us about life growing up, like where you started out growing up, in what state or what city, and just kind of go from there. So go ahead.
Okay, so born and raised Shreveport, Louisiana.
All
Go
right.
go Tigers, LSU Tigers. I grew up with a family of 6 siblings, so it was seven, 4 girls, 3 boys. Of course, one of my brothers passed away in a house fire, but
Could you elaborate, if it's okay if I ask you? Could you elaborate a little bit more on what
absolutely,
happened? Okay.
absolutely. So, I think I was 5. He was 3. We were. My memory is very good when it comes to this because I just remember getting pulled out the window. I'll never forget that.
Oh
Um,
wow.
Me and my mom were in the room. I think we were watching TV on our way to take a nap. My grandmother, she had went to the store because she normally cooks Sunday, dinner for us. And my 2 brothers were in the room, and my brother, his name was Xavier, and he
I
wanted
love
to
that
go to the
name.
store with my grandma. Yes, I love it too. And he wanted to go to the store with my grandmother. She was like, "No, you stay right here till I get back. I'm gonna be in and out." So he was just like, "Okay." So he went back in the house, went in the room. Him and my brother were in the bathroom, and they were playing with matches. Nobody knew they was in there playing with matches. It was a big house, so once they started playing with the matches and the fire caught holes to like the curtains and stuff, it just went ablaze. And
Wow.
so we didn't know until we started smelling the smoke and stuff. And by then, my brother, his name is Cedric, my older brother, he
Mm-hmm.
picked up a chair and he broke the window and kind of just escaped that way. But Xavier, when he gets in trouble or he gets scared, he will always run and hide under the bed. So his natural instinct was to run and hide under the bed instead of jumping out the window. So, of
Oh.
course, by then, I think the neighbors had called 911, and the fire department was pulling up, and the fire had gotten so bad, like my mama was able to get out, and then the fire department, they broke the window and they pulled me out.
Mm-hmm.
And my mama kept saying, she was like, "It's one more in there, my son is in there, go find him." So one of the firefighters, he went in to find him, and he didn't hear him, and he looked everywhere. And
Oh
actually we
man.
found out, by that time he passed away from the smoke, not because he was burned up, but because of the smoke. And
Smoke inhalation. Yeah.
yes, and so, oh, by the time my grandmother got back, she pulling up and she sees the fire, so of course she's panicking. And yeah, he went back in there, and my brother was just under the bed. He didn't know until they put the fire out. And I actually heard, I think I heard later on, I actually called my mom the other night. I was like, "Do you know what happened to that firefighter?" She doesn't like to talk about it, but I kind of forces her to because she needs to talk about it. But I
Mm-hmm.
think they said the firefighter ended up committing suicide because he felt so bad that he
Oh.
didn't get to rescue my brother. Nobody was there to rescue him, and so
Oh
um,
no, Lord.
there
Mm.
was a very devastating. It made news, like it was really big in the city. And
Now this was in Shreveport. This before you
yes,
came
this
to
was a
Dallas.
sport. Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, now we're very close. We grew up normal kids. I mean, we didn't have the world, but what we did have, we made the best of it.
Yeah.
So my
Close
mama
knit.
was
Close knit. I'm sorry. Close knit family.
oh, absolutely, yes. Me and my siblings are very, very close. Absolutely. Um, yeah, we grew up like normal kids. I mean, we didn't have the name brand stuff, but hey, we had clothes and shoes, food on the table. We had a place to lay our heads. So, we got to experience life. It wasn't the world, but we had fun as children. We got to play sports. The only thing I don't remember a lot is we didn't go on a lot of family vacations. You know,
Mm-hmm.
my mom, she had to work a lot because she wanted to provide, of course. She worked a lot of blue collar jobs. She worked in housekeeping. So her and my grandmother, they worked in housekeeping. So we definitely know how to clean a house. So they worked in housekeeping in a hospital setting. My grandmother
Mm-hmm.
worked in a hospital setting. She actually retired after 40 years.
Oh
And then
wow. Okay.
This was years ago when she retired, but that's pretty
Okay.
much her background. And then my mom, she did housekeeping in a hotel, which she actually is still working at a hotel.
Right.
So yes.
Okay.
Um, so we definitely know how to clean bathrooms. So my dad in and out of jail my entire life. So yeah, he wasn't a big part of my life. So my stepdad came in and he took over and
Mm-hmm.
he just made life easier for us. So yeah.
Because he was there as a male role model and a figure and to love you guys and to support you.
Absolutely. And he told my
Okay.
mom, it was like she didn't have to work. He's a truck driver, so he's done truck driving for Ivis Smith Furniture. He's done it for different furniture companies. So now he's always drove locally, like in the state of Louisiana, like where he can drive and come back home the same day. So the latest he would be home is like 8 o'clock. But even then, like he would still come home. We would eat dinner with him. We'll watch TV. Then we go to bed. On the weekends, he would get up, cook us breakfast, or we a barbecue. Like we're a big family. Like so, like we like to have card games. We barbecue. Like we sit outside in the backyard or in the house. Like we just play dominoes. Like we like to just chill.
Yeah.
Like family gatherings. We really big. Like every weekend we doing something. Just like yesterday. They had like a Halloween for the neighborhood street, and like everybody had something like a table in front of their house. Like my mom and dad, they made the candy table, the sweets table. He
Okay.
put some on the they had like corn dogs. One house had nachos. It's just like we do fun stuff like that. So
Oh, okay. Very close knit. I like that.
we
So
really
see,
are. We very close.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just want to jump
I,
in. So just
Sure.
first, my heart goes out to your family that with
thank
that
you.
tragedy, because that was something like that was, I guess, shaped. I'm sure it shaped your life. So you mentioned
Yes.
earlier that your mom, doesn't really like to talk about it. Do you mind if I ask, like, was there any counseling? Because I know, like, based on my age, I'm a little older than you.
Mhm.
That we didn't do a lot of counseling, in my time. When tragedies happen, and then it shaped who we are. So I didn't go to my first counseling session till I was like 20, and I did that on my own. So was there any counseling involved? And
Me
you got
too. I went on my own too. So my mom never went to counseling. So, and I think it has played a major part in like why she's very, very emotional. Like and then shortly after my brother died, her brother got murdered. So it was like two deaths back to back for my mom. So now she's the only child because it was just her and her brother. And so her brother got killed by his best friend. The jokes that go too far. One person got the better jokes and got mad, pulled the gun, and he shot my uncle 3 times in the stomach. And so not only was that devastating for my mom, but my grandmother. Now my grandmother did go to counseling because with my brother, her grandson, she blamed herself. She felt like if she wouldn't have never told him no, he couldn't go to the store, he would be still here living with us. So she did go to counseling. Um, my mom didn't, in the Black community, counseling therapy that's frowned upon. So especially back in that day, that time for her, no, she didn't. And I tell her all the time, I was like, you really need to go to counseling, like seriously. Like my grandmother is an emotional person. Like when we're mad, we cry. When we get frustrated, we cry. And that's really all the women in our family. Like we're just emotional. We truly wear our emotions on our sleeves. So
And I asked that
um
question for a reason, because I wanted someone out there to be watching, that they know that, like you said, in our Black community, like, a lot of times, and my mom still is against it. Like, no,
oh
I don't
yeah,
need
she
to
is
go to
too.
it. And especially in the Christian community, she was like, her
Mm-hmm.
husband, told her, like, well, aren't you a Christian? I'm like, well, God, okay, let's say you're sick, you got a cold, you still go to the doctor. So that's
Yeah,
just a different form of a doctor. So I wanted to ask
exactly.
you that question because I wanted someone watching this to know how important it is to go to counseling if you have those certain things in your life that you just can't handle or you've never experienced before.
Yeah. A lot of people in the chat are agreeing with both of you ladies,
Yeah,
including
it's
Jay
very
Wilder.
important. So when my mom, and this is where I get my emotional side, and it's like growing up, in our household, like if you try to talk back or express like to my mom, there was a form of disrespect. Like if we say, "Mama, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like how you
Kia
talked
said
to
this
her.
the
I
other
didn't
day.
like."
We were talking.
Yeah, or if we say, "Mama, I didn't like that," and she'd be like, "I know you're not talking back. Like you don't disrespect." So I think growing up like that, that has played a major role in how I express myself. That's why I'm always quick to cry, because I'd be like so mad, because I'm like, if I said, I'm gonna be considered disrespectful. But I have gotten better about it. I'm still working through my emotions. But yeah, we weren't allowed. That's why, like, now my nieces and nephew, we allow them to express themselves, because it was like, we don't want to hinder their communication skills, because I don't want them to not be able to express themselves like we weren't. Me and my siblings weren't able to. But now as adults, we definitely express ourselves. Just like earlier, I had called my granny to check on her. My niece was all over her on her phone trying to, and I was like, hey, Lasia, I'm calling to talk to Granny. Can you step aside for a second? And she was like, Auntie, why are you being rude to me? And I was like, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to be rude, but I was calling to talk to Granny. But you keep trying to play Roblox on the phone and you messed up the conversation. Like, I'm sorry if that came out rude, but you actually the rude one.
Wait, they would decline a call when they on.
Yeah, and put the phone on do not disturb so it won't interrupt the game. I'm like, these kids here.
Oh, to keep you from talking because they don't want Granny talking while the game is on.
Yes,
they don't want no calls when they're on their phone playing Roblox. They don't want no calls to come through. And then when Granny answered, she was like, Granny, I was playing a game, but I'll let you talk to Auntie. And I'm like, the audacity.
The audacity.
Oh, I'm like, these kids are crazy, but I think that's why it's very important. But I think my first whooping I think it was in middle school. I remember because I have this sister, me and her just did not get along growing up. Like, we close or whatever, but you know how sisters dressed like we had to share rooms. We had to share friends. So we would have those moments where we clash. And my mom was like, yeah, I'm not going to grow up and be fighting and hating each other. So anytime we got into it or something, we was acting ugly, oh, she would tear us up. So that's when I would say up in that older age. That's when I got my first whooping. But I think I probably got like 2 or 3 whoopings my whole life. I really wasn't a bad kid. I have an older sister. You know, I think she had her first child at 17. So we grew up helping, you know, raise the kids too in the household.
Right.
And then
I'm sorry to
interrupt. No, go ahead.
Can I ask you a question? So did you feel as you were helping to raise your older sister's you know, child, the first child, did you feel like that was a role that you enjoyed, or maybe it was a lot of responsibility for you at a young age, or how did you feel about having that?
I just feel like it was a lot of responsibility, because I think I was like 13 or 14. And like I could tell when my sister would get overwhelmed, so we would have to get up through the middle of the night, help her make bottles, change the diapers, because she was still in school, we still in school. My mom and them would get up too, but it was just a lot. I was like, this made me not want kids.
Aubrey, didn't I tell you that earlier? We had this conversation early, Taquilla. I told her I was watching kids. I can't remember because I don't have kids right now, and so the store is closed because I'm too old for that. I'm closer to 50.
She's still young. They still dropping them. Janet dropped hers at 50, 51. So, girl, you still in the ballpark.
Well, anywho, I was just saying, you know, when you have so many responsibilities as a kid, when you finally like get out on your own, you're like, okay, that was a lot. Like I said, I was disciplined kids. Sure, I mean, Aubrey was like, you disciplined kids? I was like, yes, I disciplined them kids.
See, a lot of this I totally missed as an only child. Like I didn't have nobody to discipline, nobody to tell what to do. It was just me, myself, and I.
I'm just glad that you were able to elaborate with it, because she was earlier. She thought I was just making stuff up or just doing too much.
No, you were telling the truth, because I did have friends now, and I saw how it worked in their homes, and I saw some of what you're talking about. Kea, you were going to ask, I think, a question related to Taquilla's grandmother. You want to go ahead and ask this since we're on that?
Yes. So I remember on the show you was talking to, I forgot who it was. That's irrelevant. But you mentioned that your grandmother played an important role in your life. So can you elaborate on that? Because I know you said you love your mom. We love our moms, but you said
I definitely love my mama.
It was, you know, the special bond with you. So can you elaborate on your special bond?
So yes, with my grandma. So at one point I told my mom, I was like, "You had too many kids," and so my grandma stayed around the corner from us. And thank you, Monique, such a sweetheart. So my granny stayed around the corner from us, and I was like, "Mama, can I please go stay at Granny house? Like, I feel like I have more space. I can get my own room. I'm tired of sharing rooms." And so actually, my older sister, my older brother, and me, we went to go live with my grandma, while the other three stayed with my mama. And
Oh wow.
so, but of course, I was back and forth. Like, I was still staying out with my mama. She stayed right around the corner because I was just like, it's just too much. It's too loud. It's too much running around. I don't want to share a room. So I had my own room at my grandma's house. And so just
Mm.
growing up with my grandma, you can do anything you want at your grandma's house. A grandmother loves their grandkids. And so, like, when my mom would work, my grandmother would be there at like our school events. If we, even to this day, I'd be like, "Mama, I want to go see what's in the stores, or let's go to the garage sales." Like, even every Saturday morning, me, my mama, and grandma, we go garage selling. So I'm be honest with y'all, like, my mom and them couldn't really afford to buy us clothes in the store because the housekeeping job she worked was a blue collar job. So a lot of our clothes came from the garage sale, and they were still gently used clothes. I'm not ashamed. I still wear clothes from the garage sale. She still about me stuff. So my grandmother, like, we'll be in the kitchen with my grandma. My grandmother was just that grandmother that just participated in everything. Like, if we want to go, like, she's helping my sister, her and my mom, like, they went house shopping, like going to look at houses for my sister. It's just like my grandmother is an active grandmother. And like, she was very protective of us. She don't let us stay all night at other people's house because she was like, we don't know certain people or how they people, their family, how stuff goes on. So she was very protective. Like, if we wanted people to come over, people could come and stay all night with us, but we couldn't stay all night with them. Like, she was just very protective. So just staying with my grandmother from my high school years, I grew close with my grandmother, but I'm still very close with my mom. So
Yes, we didn't, we
I
don't want
just
to
couldn't be in the house with all them kids.
And
Yeah.
the grandma's always doing those.
I asked my mama, I'm like, you grew up with just you and your brother. Why you got 7 kids?
Oh, wait a minute. Your mom was not from, because usually when I see people that have a lot of children themselves, is usually because it's one or two things. They're either from already a large family, which I typically tend to assume, or like me, they're the only child and they felt lonely, and then they'll go off and have, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kids. But so your mom wasn't from a large family with a lot of siblings?
No, it was just her and her brother. And her brother was murdered by his best friend. Now
Well,
my
okay, now,
brother,
Taquilla, I'm gonna have to jump in, not because I'm trying to confine what you're saying, but YouTube has this artificial intelligence. So when we say, maybe you might want to use the term unalive as opposed to the M word, right?
okay, unalive.
Because
Yeah.
they'll flag my video. But go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that.
Hmm.
That's okay. That's why this YouTube stuff is new for me too.
Literally, they got
She
strict
got a whole
guidelines.
this child over here got a whole channel, and she just be like, "Girl, let me be your art director and your co-host."
Yeah.
Because it's political. I feel like it's political.
Okay.
And
So
I'm not
now I
going to
can
even
think
say
like
that. I'm not
political
going to even say
words.
the R word that I feel like sometimes it is, because I fight with YouTube a lot, and because I've been here and I keep fighting to preserve this channel, because I feel like it's when I get calls and when I get inboxes and DMs over on Instagram and people tell me how this video or that conversation helped them, it makes me want to fight for the channel. But other than that,
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway,
Yes,
but we're
ma'am.
gonna
No,
go
thank
back
you,
to.
because I didn't know that. So thank you so
I'm
much.
sure. Oh, no problem. I knew you didn't. So that's why I wanted to just kind of say, and I probably should have had that conversation. We were so busy. You and I have been talking about everything else this week, so I didn't get a chance to give you the lay of the land over here on YouTube land, because it's a whole different place. But
Yeah,
but
Or
that's
Aubrey, or Aubrey just thinks we all just be in the YouTube world. So she's like, okay, these things. There's a couple of other words that you can't use. So
Oh yeah, but but I think we're safe because we were talking about that. If I think of anything else, but as we go to different topics. So now I want to kind of turn this ship a little bit, and I want to say let's kind of get to. Can you bring us to two things? When did you move? When did your family, or did you move as an adult by yourself to Dallas, the Dallas area?
So I actually went through from elementary to high school. I was in this after school program called Kids Club. Oh, and my Kids Club was a community program where we cleaned up the community. We had like a community that we would go and pick up trash on the weekends, and then there was an activity like we'll go swimming or we'll go to the skating ring. Like they rewarded us after we cleaned the community, and it just brought kids together. Also, they would help us with our homework. We would do Bible study. It was really fun. They feed us snacks and stuff. So it was something for us to do after school. So I went there all the way up into my high school year. So I actually got a scholarship.
Oh, wow.
In academics. I got a scholarship in academics. It was paid to Hardin-Simmons University in Abilene, Texas. So I think a month after graduating from high school, me and my grandma and my mom cried when I got accepted, when I got the scholarship, everything. Because if I'm being honest, my family wouldn't have been able to afford for me to go to college. They couldn't afford it. So that was a blessing in itself. I was the first one. Actually, in my family, my generation, and my siblings, the first one to go to college. So I went there. My grandma, my mom, and my dad, they drove me to Abilene, Texas. It's 6 hours from Shreveport. And then they dropped me off and left there. We all cried. So I went there for 4 years. I majored in business administration. Emphasis on human resources. Once I graduated, I had told my mom and grandma, I was like, I'm gonna move back, but I actually enjoyed Texas so much. So I remember after I graduated, I went back home for like a month, and then my friends was like, well, let's meet up for lunch. Let's go hang out with my friends because they all lived in Dallas. And so I had packed up a few bags. I didn't tell my mom and grandma. I was like, hey, I'm gonna go to Dallas for the weekend. I'm just gonna go hang out with my friends, and I'll be back. But I never came back. I never came back.
Well, wait a minute. How far? Because I don't know that part of Texas. Because I think Dallas is about a 3-hour drive from Houston, which is where I'm more familiar with. How far is Abilene from Dallas? Say, for example, on the car.
Well, from Fort Worth from where I am is exactly 2 hours.
Oh, so yeah, it's a good little hike. It's not like it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Okay.
3.5. But from Shreveport, it's 6 hours.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yes. So, actually, when I went to college my first year, I worked as a waitress. I actually bought my first car. It was a PT Cruiser. So
I love those PT Cruisers.
It was so cute. My first car. I worked hard, paid it off. And just like I said, when I graduated from college, I went back to Shreveport for like a month, and then I just packed my bag. I knew I wasn't coming back, but I wasn't gonna let them know because they would have been mad, crying like, "Why you told us you was moving back home after college?" I drove to Dallas, and I just never came back. And they was like, "When you coming back?" I'm like, "Oh, I applied for a job. I got a job out here, so I'm gonna just stay out here." The money.
Yeah, you kind of gave them the soft shoe.
Yep, I was like, I like being independent. Although I was independent at home, but I just like having my space and just being out here. I got accustomed to it. I love Texas. The people are so friendly out here. It's more to do. I'm not limited in what I can do. So, I moved to Fort Worth, and I've been here since 2011. I love it. So I was waiting tables, and then I got my first job working in human resources. And that's been my background ever since. I've worked at like 3 different companies, but the one that I'm working at now, I've been there for 7 years. I'm in marketing. So that's what brought me to Texas. I got a scholarship, and I just
wow. Okay, so that's how you ended up in Texas.
That's how I ended up. People think I'm slow and all that. I act and play a lot. I like to play, y'all. But I'm very well educated and smart.
I thought so. From the time I've been talking to you, I said, now, I don't know. I watch, but we're going to get to that toward the end too. We'll get to that toward the end. But what I want to ask you, last question before I give it over to Kea. The last thing I want to ask you. So tell us about your first romantic love. Yeah, your first, romantic relationship. Was that in high school, maybe middle school, high school?
So I had
She blushing? Oh, yes,
Yeah,
she
her
is.
face just.
Okay, I can remember back to middle school. My first love. It's easier when I'm telling stories. I'm gonna just make up a name. I won't give y'all his real name because I was told, "Girl, I like to let people in. Like I like to be transparent with people. So you only get to know me if I'm letting you into my world." But I'll say his name is Brandon. So Brandon was my middle school sweetheart. I actually loved him all the way up into high school. He played football, handsome chocolate. He kind of put me in mind of like Notorious B.I.G. So my dad is a big guy, and he's chocolate. So I've always been attracted to bigger guys. I don't know why. It's not weird to me, but
Yeah.
I think it was his personality. So I'm a person that goes off personality, vibes, your character, how you treat people versus then how you look physically. So personality first. So he was just funny. He was a class clown. He got voted for class clown. He was just funny. He knew, I just knew when I was around him, we would have a good time. So high school, he started seeing other girls and like, so we kind of went our little ways, but we still kept in touch and talked. And then when I went to college, that's I grew into my looks more. So he was just like, you looking kind of good. Hope you ain't out there talking to nobody in Texas. And I was like, yeah, whatever. We grew apart from there.
Yeah, like as if you wouldn't. Boy, bye.
Please, all on my Facebook and stuff, keeping up with me and calling me and want to see me every time I would come home on weekends or holidays or breaks. And I did. I hung out with him. We cool though. We would go out and just hang out. He would come over to the house because, like I told y'all, my family, we're very fun. We're welcoming. We don't meet strangers. Like we have a lot of family gatherings, so we don't mind inviting people over. And then in college, I dated, but I was never in a serious relationship. Like it was just going on dates, getting to know the guys. I actually went to a private college. That's where I met Tamasha at. Me and Tamasha, it was probably like when I went, it was probably like maybe, and I'm not exaggerating because it was a private, predominantly white college. So it was probably like 10 of us Black people. So it was not, you know what I'm saying? It has grown over the years, but at that time it wasn't very many of us. So it was kind of like we grew to be a family there. So I dated, but it wasn't nothing to be in a serious relationship. So after college, when I had moved to Texas, I was working at Logan's waiting tables. And that's when I told this on Kojo channel. That's when I met Tommy. And he was a manager in training, and he doesn't work for the company anymore, by the way. So him and I were hanging out, getting to know each other for the month he was in training there. And then he transferred to another store. Now he was my first serious relationship at 26 years old. I was a late bloomer. So, I didn't get that little experience, that you would get normally with dating. When I say late bloomer, because I need to be very specific so it all makes sense. Like I lost my virginity to him and everything at 26. So he literally was my first love, first everything.
Ooh,
that was my first serious relationship. Yes.
Wow. So wait a minute, but it sounded like can I go a little further
Absolutely.
into that without getting real? But if you were saving yourself and your, virginity, did you feel like you knew him well enough? You guys weren't married, I don't think, or were you? Did you get married, or were you doing it out of a Christian kind of a Christian perspective, or did you just decide you just really had focused in on your studies? Is that what it was?
So I did come. But it was a little bit of a little mixture of everything. Like my goal was to always wait until marriage.
Okay, right.
My grandmother was married back in the day. Like it was different for them. So my grandmother was married at 12 years old, and she's still married to the same man, my grandpa.
And say again, this girl, what, huh?
12 years old, my grandmother was married. Yep, and she's 70 years old. Yes. So she's been married. My mom's she's married my stepdad. So they've been married for years. And although my sister and them had kids and they weren't married, I'm like, well, I don't want to be like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I have a child, I want to raise my child with someone. I don't want to be a single parent depending on family. You know what I'm saying? I just had a different mindset about it. Right. And also, I truly believe, like, from a Christian value perspective, it's better to wait to marriage. But I had fell so in love with Tommy. I think me and Tommy had, like, in the beginning, I want to say 8 months into it. That's probably when I lost my virginity. It was almost a year. But shoot, knowing what I know now, I should have just kept it and held on to it.
Yeah. That's like why a lot of religions and different cultures, they don't go on dates by themselves because, you know, when it get hot, you know.
The flesh is weak, girl. The spirit is willing, but that flesh is weak.
You are away from your family. You in a whole nother state, and y'all going on them private dates. And
yes. Oh, and he was charming too.
That's what I was just about to. Girl, you took the words out my mouth. I was just about to say, was he a charmer? Was he a charmer?
Smooth talker, gentleman. He was a flirt. That's why That's why it didn't surprise me that he got transferred to another store, but was still talking to other women in my store. Because everybody liked him. He was cool. He really was. So, but I never would have thought he would have cheated on me. Because, you know, we hung out, we spent time together. Like, we went on dates. Like, I never would have thought it was somebody else in the picture. But
was he
me?
Was this, and I'm using the air quotes, was this Tony person guy, was he your age or same age, or was he a little bit younger, a little bit older?
Tommy I'm 36, so I think Tommy's 40.
Okay.
So
okay.
4 year difference.
The 4 years difference. So he would have been about 30 when you were. Did you know much about him when you first started dating him? Did he have any children, or had he been married or anything?
So, I think a year into it, I didn't find out he had previously been married. He was separated, which I was blindsided by, and then like they were going through the divorce, and so he did have 3 children, 2 by one mother, and then the one by his wife that he was legally separated from. So she lived in California at the time. So he was in Texas, so they really were separated. But I didn't know all those specific details because he didn't really talk about it a lot. But
didn't want you to know, it seemed like.
Didn't. Had a lot to hide, yes. So it was like I kept finding out stuff the more we dated and talked and stuff. So
okay.
And as always, we always want to give, you know, someone the benefit of the doubt.
I'm very fair on giving people the benefit of the doubt. Like, you have my 100% trust until you give me a reason not to trust you. But exactly. I learned later on and off throughout the relationship, like the minute I took him home to meet my dad and my mom and my granny was like, don't bring him back here. She was like, I see right through him. So shortly after that, yeah, we broke up.
Yes, and I just want to add, because a lot of times people are very judgmental when, you know, things happen and you're like, okay, things happen. Don't, you know, pretend like things have never happened to you.
Exactly.
Or if they have not, kudos to you. God bless you.
Yes.
Because things happen. We live and learn. Now, the things that I may have done in my 20s, you're not going to get me in my 40s with it. So we live and learn, and we share that knowledge with people that are younger than us to, you know, do better. Because I wish I had someone to speak to me and say, hey, let me put you up on game.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I'll even share something with y'all that I have never, like, well, my mom and my grandmother know. My siblings don't even know this. I would even say my best friend doesn't either, because when me and Tommy, after a while, and I started picking up on Tommy ways, I was like, I think it was like I was 28 or 29. I ended up having a miscarriage by Tommy. I was pregnant, had a miscarriage, and that alone taught me a lot. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh yeah, it was a hard time, but it was all part of God's plan, in my opinion. So it happened for a reason.
Okay.
And then after not talking to Tommy, 2 years later, he tried to spin the block. He ended up FaceTiming me from a whole totally different phone number. And he was like, you know, I realized I messed up. he was like, you really were good to me. He was like, I was just being dumb, still playing in the streets, trying to have fun, but didn't want to lose you. And I walked away from that relationship. So,
Oh, okay.
oh
Oh,
yeah,
good for
I
you.
definitely walked away because I
Good.
that was my first love. So I haven't had any serious relationship experience. So to put up with what
Right.
I put up with for 4 years, it was just
Hmm.
like, yeah, I'm in a different space. Like, mm-mm.
And we all have those moments, and a lot of times, I've stayed in relationships too long, but a
Yeah,
lot of lessons were learned. Where I learned a lot of lessons in those relationships, whether it's the people that they brought into there, whether it was the mother that taught you some stuff, or whether it
yeah,
was the lessons in the relationship. So I always say, you learn something, you take away whatever you can, and keep it moving.
exactly,
I want
exactly.
to. I want to appreciate. I really appreciate you giving us so much background, so much detail, so that we can better get into the interview. And I'm gonna ask Kea if she'll
Yes,
go
this
ahead.
interview sounds more personable for me. So,
Yeah, I do want, because like I said, the end goal is that you are here to give your perspective on what happened Ready to Love, but also for us to understand what happened on Ready to Love, we got to kind of understand a little bit about who you are.
absolutely.
So I'm going to turn it over to Kea, the co-host, and she's going to go ahead and get into it. So we're going to now come up to the part where you are actually getting ready to go on Ready to Love. And I will just ask this one question about it, and then she can handle the rest of that portion. Um, I
Okay.
wanted to ask you, what was that like, the application process for Ready to Love for you?
So, okay. When the casting went out on social media, it was all over social media, and I saw it and I scrolled past it. Even I've been, let me tell you, I'm a fan of Ready to Love. I've watched from season one all the way up until now. So from a viewer standpoint, I loved Ready to Love. And so my coworkers, my friends, they was like, we think you'll be perfect. They coming to Dallas. You need to go ahead and give it a try. And I was like, y'all know I actually watched that show. So I know
Hmm.
how it is. And I was like, I'm gonna give it a try. So we have a family group chat, me, my siblings, my grandmother, my dad. I was like, y'all, I think I want to apply for Ready to Love. They was like,
Hmm.
girl, please. They was like, you are not gonna go on this TV show. I said, and just because y'all said that, I'm going to apply anyway. So, so I applied. I remember getting off work. It was a Wednesday. I will not forget. It was that Wednesday. I got home. I was like, let me do this application. It was 25 questions, but it's not like 25 easy questions where you just fill in the blank. It was like questions that required you to write paragraphs. Um, and like give full details on the experiences. So I was like, "Ooh, this gonna take me a long time." So I'm like pouring my heart out of my application process because I'm like, I want them to know all my heartbreaks, all the games I went through with these ninjas, and all this and that. So I think it was like midnight when I got done with the application process, and I'm driving to work. I had just left Starbucks, Kia girl. I got out caramel and macchiato hot.
You two and y'all Starbucks. Okay.
Yes, I drink Starbucks almost every day on the way to work. So I'm pulling into work. And I get the call because I forgot. I think I was on the phone with my mom. I was like, Mom, I got this random call coming in. Let me call you right back. So I clicked over and they was like, hey, this is such and such from Run to Love. And I was like, I know you, like, oh, that's you. Like, I literally just submitted the application last night. And
What?
she was like, yes, she was like, I know. She was like, and honey, you done been through some things. I said, yes. I wanted y'all to know I need y'all help with finding me a man because I keep running into the same type of men. So yeah.
Okay.
And so she asked me a few screening questions and she was like, I really like your vibe. You funny. She was like, I think you're gonna do good. I'm gonna go ahead and move you to the next round. She was like, I will let you know this is a long process. And I said, okay, well, what do you mean how long? And she was like, it's gonna be rounds and rounds of interviews. She was like, we probably won't make a
Hmm.
decision. And this was in when I applied, this was in towards the end of September. And my first interview was in October. So she was like, it's gonna be several rounds. And so
So
she
wait a
went
minute,
for,
just to clarify, just excuse me 1 second, just to clarify. So that would have been 2022
yes, ma'am, 2020,
last year.
September 2022. Yes.
Okay,
Because I
got you.
had just turned 35.
Okay,
Because it was at the end of September. That's how I remember.
okay.
And so And when we had to do these interviews, we had to have our makeup done, hair done. They had to pick our wardrobes for the interview. They was like, we want to see what you're wearing and we'll tell you what looks best. They was like, you need to show your personality, you know. So, you know, I went in that clowning in my interview. I was entertained. They was like, you are so fun. Like, I got so much good feedback on my interviews.
Okay.
So, my last one was in January. This was the final because they kept giving me emails like, you've made it to the second round. You've been shortlisted. And my casting manager, she was like, you gonna get it. Like, I have no doubts about it. And so did my final interview. I was the first one up. They picked me to be the first one to get the day started. We had a ball.
All right.
And then I want to say February 1st, I got the call at work, and me and my coworkers and boss, we were just jumping up and down. I was like, y'all, I got casted on the show. Finna find my man. Finna go on a date. So yeah, that's how I got the ring.
You about to become Clifton and Joy. Okay.
Yes, that was the goal. That was the goal.
Right. Well, go ahead, Kea. It's on you now.
So Taquilla, okay, I have to ask the hard questions too. So this is when everyone had, you know, like you were said that you were misunderstood on the last, you know, when you were elimination process. So give us a better understanding of you. So on your first encounter that you had with America, all the Ready to Love fans, your first statement was, you said nice. Okay, wait, let me make sure I get it right.
Okay.
You said guys don't like the nice girls. They like the girls that give them a little drama. And then you say they will like it here. That was classic. So a lot of viewers had their perception, you know, that was like the first time we all met you and we all like had this idea of who Taquilla was right then and there. So what did you mean by that? Like, do you really like believe that statement? Because now that I'm talking to you, you know, you seem a lot different than the show. So what do you mean by, like, do you really feel like guys like crazy girls and you know, like, okay, well, let me just fit into that mold?
So they were asking me, this is what I don't like about that, because that was actually a response to a question they were asking me. They was like, so what has been your experience with dating? And I was like, you know, from my experience in dating, the guys like the crazy girls. And some guys would tell, like, guys that I would date, they was like, you too nice, like, give us, like, we like a little bit of drama, like, you know, we don't want no boring relationships. And I'm like, that is insane. So the last guy I was dating, it was like 2 months in, and he was still like dealing with the mother of his child, but would be lying to me about it. And so like it got to a point to where we went from seeing each other from 3 days to a week to 1 day a week, and I was like, something not adding up. We stayed 15 minutes from each other. You don't answer your phone calls at nighttime. I'm not seeing you when you get off work like I normally would. So I never pulled up at somebody's house. But I pulled up at his house, knocked on the door. I was like, I just want to see who over here, because I feel like you lying, stuff not adding up. And
not to pull up.
Pulled up. I pulled right on up because stop playing with me. So when I got there, he started laughing, and we sat down, we talked. We actually was like having drinks and stuff, just chilling. He was like, I never would have thought you would have been the one to pull up to my house. He was like, I like that. He was like, I'm toxic. I like that toxic stuff. And I'm like, see, the fact that I had to do this because he felt like I was like this boring, nice girl. And I had to pop up and, you know, show him a little something, like not to be played with. Don't let this license fool you. He liked the mess. And it just kept on after that. But the mess got messy. To the point, shoot, I inboxed his baby mama. I was like, girl, what's really going on? The line's not, I'm tired. Like, are y'all together or y'all not? Because if so, I need to move around. I don't want to be in between y'all foolishness. And so, yeah, it some stuff that went on. So, but when I made that statement, that's what I was like, as far as my experience for my last dating situation, I was like, no, that's for real. That's a real thing. Men like women that can bring a little drama to their life. Let me give you an example, because I'm just being transparent. Okay. I woke up this morning and I had like 6 missed calls, 10 messages my sister, and we don't bother people. Let me just make this very clear. We do not bother people. But if y'all come to us, we will bring it to your front door. So it's like, don't bother us, we won't bother y'all. So my sister, baby daddy wife she just been picking.
I'm trying to visualize the person, the baby mama.
My sister, who she's 26. That's my baby sister. So all my mama kids are grown now. She's 26. She went out to the club last night to have fun because she's still celebrating Libra season. She one of them Libras. It's her birthday all month. So she went out drinking. Now her baby daddy just got out of jail last week, but he's married. He married this girl.
Okay.
And so when he got out of jail, the first place he stopped was to my sister's house because, of course, that's where he has a daughter at. She's 10 years old. And so then he went home to his wife, which he had just married her right before he went into jail, but he's still like my sister. Like he has a love for my sister. Like they have been dating since she was 14, had a baby, you know, the normal ups and downs in a relationship. So this beef that him and his now wife have been having has been 4 years ongoing and offgoing. Well, she was blowing up my sister's phone, talking about last night, like, let's meet up, let's fight. And my sister was like, girl, I'm not gonna fight you behind your husband, who is my baby daddy, and I don't want him no more. But she just kept doing it. She had constantly been picking at my sister. So my sister was in the club. I'm just now finding this out this morning, Kim. So they blowing up her phone. She done sent screenshots of how many times this girl done called her phone private. And the girl pulled up to where her apartment was, and she was like, come outside. So my sister was like, oh, okay, I'm on my way home. You in front of my apartment, so you want to fight. So, of course, my sister get out the car, and her baby daddy right there, recording them, and they fighting. So, the craziness, to me, that type of crazy, he still wants to talk to my sister, even though his wife, you let your wife get beat up by your baby mama. So it's just like that crazy stuff. And he was like calling my sister this morning. She was like, and here he is trying to come over and chill with me. And he was like, no, like, to me, that's the stuff that I mean. Like, men like drama. They really do. Like, I don't know any other way to put it, but they like a little drama in their life. They do.
So what I've learned over the years, those are not men, those are boys.
Yeah, that too.
Because it takes the right man to show us something different, because I, used to be that chick like, okay, you want crazy? I'm gonna give you crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna give you crazy.
My nickname Eastside Kea, but I don't use that name so much now.
Oh, that's the you told me that little part of the story, Kea. Okay, we're gonna talk after the show.
And for a while, it was like, okay, this Eastside vibe. But it takes, when you step away from those boys and you meet a real man and he introduce you to new ways. Cause my new man, he won't even argue with me. He just be like, nah, kid. I'll be like, okay. And get me all the way together, just his way of conversation. So sometimes it just takes for us to reach the right man. And when we see those red flags, I see someone in the chat put red flags, when it was like drama. Because a lot of them do. That's their own insecurities. Because my brother Ron, I don't know where he at today, but he made a comment one time saying that he need the girl to cry for him. I was like, why are we crying for you? That's so toxic. So
a lot of I meant it that way though. I gotta defend my co-host and panelists.
I love it.
I love Ron too.
You was saying, yeah, but hold up, Kea, you're using it in the wrong context. Ron was simply saying, I'm telling this for my girl over here, T. This is what he was talking. We were talking about one of your season, right? We were commentating on your season, and he was just saying that he don't want a woman to be so cool that when he meet her and he's all into her and she's like, well, I can take or leave Ron. He want a woman that's could cry for him, like, I need to see my baby. I need to see my man. I like you. Come on over, or let's go out, or whatever the thing is. And I agree with Ron, because to me, if you're going to be lukewarm and we're just meeting and you're not a little bit excited, and as we go along, you're not getting more excited and more interested, what's the point? What's the point? Right.
Well, I'm still not about to cry, because at the end of the day, you can go. But
well, we know, but now you know what? Okay, we're gonna keep all this on the private offline. Okay, I know you. Listen, Kea, I know you, and I know your type. Okay, Miss Stoic.
Ron is from Detroit too, so he know I love him. We
You
just got to
do.
represent for the Detroit. So I was just saying, like, how sometimes like guys will, put you in that position and and tell you stuff about the other girl or do stuff and make it messy because that's for their own insecurities. But at
Right.
the end of the day, I just feel like when we start seeing those red flags, once we learn them, we just stay away from those red flags. At that point, and you just sometimes you got to be alone. I was single for 10 years, so
Yeah.
there was nothing wrong with me. It was just like those are red flags. No, thank you. Until you meet a man that don't
And
like
yeah,
this topic.
I'm not the type too. I'm not gonna get in a relationship just to say I'm in a relationship, just to meet everybody else standards. It's like, no, like I deserve to be picky about what I want.
Okay.
And I've noticed like a lot of people be like, well, who her friends are? Most 90% of my friends are married. So the way they portrayed me on the show, my married friends didn't question me or not, because they was like, they had to be produced because you don't act like that. And these are people who've been in my life all my life. Like my friends, they're all married. They either have kids or they're married or in a relationship. I don't have single friends. I'm the only single friend, but I get invited everywhere. Like I get invited to hangouts. Now, what married people will sit up here and hang out with a single girl? I don't act like that. I don't. And so I learned a lot from them. They pour into me, they give me advice. They've held me accountable, but they also know I'm hard-headed. Like I like to experience stuff on my own. And I do have a bad habit of ignoring red flags. I really do, because I want to see the good in people. Like I like to give people a fair chance. So it's like if the red flags like, let me see. It's almost like I can not almost change them, but see if they're willing to change with me. So that's where my mistakes have come in at.
I know you mentioned being a Christian woman. We just have to learn how to trust our instincts, because
Yes.
9 times out of 10, when my instincts told me somebody was wrong, it was wrong. But like we vibe together, Taquilla. Like I see so much of myself in you when you try to see my friend Robin. She's not here today, but she said I see green on dead trees. She's like, why do you see that green? I'll be like, girl, I see the green somewhere.
Yes.
So I'm always seeing green on dead trees. But once I see that it's not it, it's easy for me to go. So I understand you're trying to get the benefit. So I want to jump into the next question.
Okay.
Phil, you were at the pool talking to Phil. You mentioned you were a Christian. Now, first, I want to add to you, Taquilla. Your face tell it all. Have anyone ever told you that?
Yes. I have a hard time hiding my emotions. It's like what you see is what you're gonna get with me.
So I felt you right there. I said her face. I said she cannot hide anything because her face tells it all. So when Phil was talking to you, your face was like, okay, how long do I have to sit here? But you were, talking about his sexual desires and his needs. How did you really feel about that conversation? Because I know sometimes production have you guys sitting there and
production, they actually interrupted my conversation with Maria for me to go and have a conversation. This is what I mean when I say I love the show from a viewer standpoint, because being a viewer and a castmate, two totally different things. Because when I was a castmate and I came on there, I was like, this is not how I thought this show was produced. So this is more like speed dating. Like it's not like you naturally get to pick like who you want to date, because that first night, Phil was never my connection. Don't get me wrong, Phil is amazing for the right woman, but I'm just not that woman for him. I knew within just the first conversation, I'm like, he's really a nice guy. He's handsome. I cannot take that away from him. But Phil is not somebody I would talk to. And that's not a dig at him at all, but no. But so before I sat down with Phil, they was like, you did good with that question when Maria asked him the same question. And I was like, oh, here we go. Because everybody don't receive the sexual question the same way. And so I actually first started out, he actually started asking me, am I spiritual or Christian? And I had knew from the first conversation that he was a Buddhist. So I'm like, I'm not, you pray to a rock, I pray to a God. So I don't even want to get into that stuff with you, but let's see how I can kind of merge dating and like, because with his religion and dating and sex, I wanted to see how they play out. Because are you a guy that waits till you're engaged or married to have sex? Do you demand it within the first 30 days, 60 days? Like, so that's kind of the direction I was going in. And plus, we grown. Like, I don't know why people act like they have never just talked about sex on the first day. It's just like everybody is so hypersensitive. Even though that was a produced question, it was very fitting. Like, you had people talking about death on the first day. Who does that? You know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking nobody, but it's like it's different levels to questions you can ask on a first date. So when I asked Phil that, it wasn't his answer. It was like in my head as he was answering, I was picturing. I'm like, who would have sex in a garage? Like, I'm like,
yeah, that was kind of odd, but we
like,
finding out more about Phil.
Whether it's rodents in there, it's just the air circulation is not good, and not the best conditions in a garage. So that was what was going through my head. And then they actually chopped and screwed it because they made it seem like after he answered it, I kind of turned the cold shoulder to him, and it wasn't the case. Because after he answered, they was like, okay, we got the position, y'all, because Tommy is about to walk in. So then they showed me getting up because I was smiling. I was like, Tommy. So it was just like, it was split. They chopped it up. But there was nothing wrong with how he answered it. It was just like I was trying to kill the visual Jesus because it just wasn't like, why in a garage? Like, I guess, I don't know. But after that, I honestly didn't know it offended him because I never got back around to him that night to know that I had offended him. But I don't know, I'm finding out he likes to do comedian stuff. Like, as a comedian, I would think you would have a lot of thick skin. I don't know why they would make a.
We found out that the men that were supposedly comics, they definitely didn't have thick skin because Sassy Red was another one of them.
Okay, did not have it at all. And I'm just like, and I actually asked my guy best friend, and he was like, only a man that's, I don't know, he was like, lack of a better way to say it, he was like, I'm a grown man and I would be comfortable. He was like, that's just setting the boundaries up front. Like, you're able to discuss and put boundaries in place up front, so we'll know if something is not for us. He was like, there was nothing wrong with what you asked. No grown man would have been uncomfortable with that, but clearly.
Even though Phil, we saw him at the reunion talking about and we
my point exactly.
Yeah,
and with that narrative, that's what made me so upset because I'm like, you back here joking about
a woman's body part. We'll say we won't say the
parts.
word. Mm-hmm. And her intimate body part.
Intimate body parts, but you made a big deal about me asking a intimate question, so. It was just a little weird to me. I didn't like that because I was like, that's what gave my narrative with the drama and all of that. Like, that's how they created my narrative, and I felt like that's how I was so misunderstood. And I'm just overall, I really am. I'm a very friendly person. I'm a people person. I love people. I could talk to anybody. And I've heard on a few interviews where my cast is like, T just want to be liked and accepted. Accepted? Who want to be? I'm just a people person. I'm just getting to know you. Like, I didn't know y'all before I came on this show, and after the show, I probably won't even know y'all even then. So it's like, I don't have to be accepted by people. I just think it should be a mutual respect, if anything. Like, we're adults. We're in this experience and this journey together. So why not be cordial friends? Like, getting to know each other. Just okay.
And I have to be honest, I used to watch it when it first came out, Ready to Love, and I stopped, because sometimes when you start hearing the behind the scenes, it seems so high school sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
We're all over 30, even when you have like the women, bickering and different, people, the guys get in on the bickering. You're like, what are we doing? Like,
yes.
Are we here for
people? Right. And I feel like certain people, it's like you have to hang with certain people for aesthetics. And I'm just like, baby, I can hang with the bougie girls. I can hang with the ghetto girls. I can hang with the choir girl. I'm an all-around girl. I can fit in any crowd. But if you choose to make it difficult for me to, associate or been in the same social circle as you, then you're not the person I need to hang around. And I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to get to the tea, okay? What everybody want to know. Let's get to the tea.
Let's get
so
to it.
At the elimination, okay, you felt blindsided. So, you mentioned that
Yes.
the guys behind the scenes were, showing interest to you or, telling you.
Yes,
so
they were.
We want to know who those guys, because tell the tea.
You're talking about
no, at
Kea,
elimination.
just so we're clear with her and the viewers also that are watching. You're talking about at the original, like the
mixer,
original
right?
first mixer.
The first mixer. We're still on episode 1. We're still on episode 1. The first elimination.
Okay.
Because I got my notes.
Yeah.
So the first elimination, when you said you were blindsided, you was like, okay, wait a minute, me? Like, okay, this is not what y'all was saying.
Yes, my like the first guy I talked to was Phil, and Phil was cool. Phil was like, he wanted to talk to me again, but I was like, I gotta go around and meet people. So I made it a point to talk to Phil, but I knew after that first 30-minute conversation, I was like, yeah, he's nice, but I wouldn't date him. But Chris was the second one. Chris, it was like so organic, and I'm talking about Nigerian Chris because I never got the film with Wild Card Chris. But when I first seen Chris, I was like, he chocolate, he handsome, he looks so good. Like, I really want to talk to him. He was such a gentleman. Really good conversations. Like, we talked about his Nigerian background. We talked about his daughter. We bonded over our niece and nephews. We talked about our work history, all that. Like, we just had a real all-around good conversation. And me and Chris talked like 3 times that night. We just kept looping around to each other. And like, I remember at one point we snuck out by the water, like towards the back, because we wanted to break from the cameras. We was like, I'm tired of the cameras. It was a bit overwhelming for a first time experience. So Chris was definitely, I knew he was going to be someone I wanted today. He was in my top, and I felt the same thing with him. The second guy that I had a good conversation was Red. Red was funny. I liked Red. We flirted a lot. And then the third guy was Marie. Me and Marie bonded over the love for our parents, grandparents. And he was just so comfortable and laid back. Like, Marie, one of them dudes you could really just have deep conversations with. So those were my 3 tops for that night. But I also got to talk to Marvin, who I had a really good conversation with. I also got to talk to Q. Me and Q, actually, we had a really good conversation. Like, he was talking about, I asked Q to cook for me because he said he cooked in meal prep. So I'm like, he was like, I like the conversation. Like, he was telling me like, good talk, but I want to go, make my rounds and talk to everybody else. And we actually talked again that night. Like, he came up to talk to me to make sure I was good and stuff like that. So for me to have all these different conversations, and like the conversations were going good, like nobody didn't tell me anything different. I talked to Brandon. I would say Brandon, it was like pulling teeth to get him to just open up and just have a good dialogue. He was quite reserved, and I think he was nervous. And plus, I don't like to date introvert guys because I'm so extrovert, big personality. So I want to be able to have fun and be outgoing with my partner, because I've dated an introvert guy and it was not fun. So yeah, Herbert was the only guy. Herbert was the only guy I didn't get to talk to that night, but I got to talk to everybody else, and of course Habibi. It was like at first me and Habibi got into it, but then we kind of we got cool. We got real cool. He was fun. I got to see a softer side of him.
Now, whatever in the world could you and Habibi gotten into it about? Did he tell you that your mother was an ish?
So we're gonna get into Habibi later, because I got questions with you about him too.
All right, let me zip it up and let her handle her business.
No, with Habibi, I spilled my wine on my dress, and he just sat there laughing, and I was like, "You are so rude! Like, you're not gonna get up and get napkins. You're gonna not help me clean up this mess." And he was like, "No, go get it yourself." I was like, y'all got to get him away from me, because we gonna be at it." And then he was like, chill out, I'm just playing. And then he kind of just chilled down a little bit, and I was like, I'm gonna need you to do better. I was like, this is gonna be a process with you, but I said, I'm gonna get you together though, but it's gonna be a process. And he cool. Kira had a good conversation with him too. Like, I guess everybody had good conversations. Well, some people, but But yeah, but just in those conversations where I felt reassured and like the guys would tell me they like the conversation, like they like my personality. So for me to be put in the bottom, I was like, who lying? I don't like to be lied to, because my thing is people say I can't handle rejection. Oh, that's how I know y'all don't know me, because I am definitely okay with rejection. I'm not for everybody. So if you're honest and direct enough to say, hey, we're not a connection, I'm okay with that. You're telling me, but if you're telling me one thing and then put me in the bottom, that's gonna make me look at you sideways. And I didn't like that. So I was like, well, who's lying? And it's not like after they saved me in elimination that I went around and was like, so who's lying or who's not telling the truth? I was just like, I don't even want to go back in there, because I don't know who's lying or who's playing the game, or you know what I'm saying? So I just sat outside by the bar and I kept drinking. And that's when Mario came up. I mean, I was good. Went in the bathroom, cried my little cry, talked to producers. And then I cleaned my face up and I was like, okay, let me just go back out here till it's time to go home. And I was sitting on the bench, and that's when Herbert came up and was like, you okay? And he just really gave me some really good words of encouragement, and it made me cry. And I was like, what? See, I was doing good before you walked over here, Herbert. Being all sweet and nice and kind and wanting to just uplift me, and got me crying again. So, of course, I had to go back to the bathroom and wipe my face. Then Red was like, you knew you weren't going nowhere, so I don't even see why you up here crying, like reassuring me. And then Mario, that was like, okay, producer was like, okay, don't nobody else walk up and talk to her, because she gonna keep crying and we trying to keep up with her. So after me and Mario in conversation, I was like, don't nobody else ask her how she doing. She is okay. She's still here. Let her enjoy her night. So yeah.
So I just want to add this part, because this, like I said, I felt this, at the beginning of the interview, because I am a woman. Yeah. And when you said every relationship you did your best, but wasn't enough. That I felt. So whatever woman did not feel that, because when we had these boys that play games, that we lead with our heart. Yeah. And when you feel like that's just like not enough, you're like, okay, I did my best and it's not enough, because normally that's not the guy for you.
Correct. So just like the last guy I dated, he was a teacher, like he had just relocated here. We were dating and he found a job here. So I'm like, what can I do to help you get ready for the school year? Like, went and decorated his class for him, got him new work clothes so that he can be set for the first 2 weeks of his working. Made sure he had lunch. I made sure he had lunch. I can't make sure you had breakfast, but I packed you a lunch to make sure, you had lunch at work. So call and check in, and just making sure when got off work, I had something for us both to eat, like making it, light or whatever. And then just like he playing date nights, I playing date nights. Like, I met his family, he met my family. Like, it was just very intentional on both parts. So it was just like, but that still wasn't enough. Like, it was just like he smothered me. It was like he wanted me up under him every minute of the minute. And it was just like, when I wanted to just have a long time, whether it was for a couple of hours, he accused me of cheating. And I'm just like, you have my location, you have the passwords to my phone, like, where I'm at all times. Like, I don't know why you would think I would be cheating on you just because I want to be alone and refresh and recharge. Doesn't mean I like you. I don't like you more or like you less. Like, I just need space for a little bit. And so no matter how supportive I was, matched his energy, it just still wasn't enough. And so it was like, I just wanted time to be able to miss him and not be smothered and burned out on him. But, that wasn't enough. And the guy before that, and to be honest with you, Kea, I keep picking the wrong guys. Like, and when I say picking, like, the same type of guys keep coming at me, and I'm like picking them as in, okay, I'll entertain you. Let me see what you got going on for a little bit. Like, I need to know, once I see that red flag, like, girl, this is the same guy appearing in different forms and different bodies. So the guy before that I was dating, he was a computer engineer. Like, they got good professions, but they just horrible in relationships. So how
so, Taquilla, if I could ask you, how so? The computer science guy.
What you mean? That's the one that had the baby mama still sleeping with his baby mama while dating me.
Oh, red flag.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Like, French. Go ahead, Taquilla.
You say what?
I was just about to say, I know earlier that you mentioned that you went to counseling. So a lot of times we have to find out what it is about us that makes us attracted to those type of people, because you mentioned like your dad was in jail and stuff, and my dad was in, jail also. He was in and out of my life. So I always picked guys that were not available. I was mirroring what my dad was to me.
Yeah.
So it was acceptable for a man to disappear on me for 3 days. Like, oh, you could just go for 3 days. Like, where was you at? Probably with the other girl. But in my dad's case, it was something else. But I was just used to that behavior. So a lot of times, women, we have to take a pause and say, what makes me attract the same type of guy? What makes me, what makes me attractive? What makes me be crying over this type of man? What makes me think that this is acceptable? So a lot of times we have to look within to figure out what it is about us and take that break. I told you earlier, I think behind the scenes, that I was single for 10 years, 10 whole years. It didn't seem like 10 years, but I was single.
Yeah.
I got it right. So we just sometimes have to take a look and just say, what is it?
Because they start off so good though, Kea. No, you're right. And I do think so. They start off good in the beginning. It's like they show their representative. And then the more we start the date and talking, I'm like, you ain't ish. Like, you at this age, like these guys are like 38, 39. So I don't date younger than me. That's probably what's wrong. I keep dating the older guys. But at some point you would think these older guys be like, aren't you tired? Don't you want to settle down? Like, aren't you tired of dating multiple people at one point? But it still falls back on me, Kea. Like, why are you attracted to these same, big guys?
And we have to like stand our ground too. Like, early on, it may not seem like a big thing, like the guy that I'm dating now. I say, you have to call me back. So if you tell me you're going to call me back, you need to call me back. That. Yes. So he's just like, okay. I'm like, okay, I'm going to explain to you because I'm transparent now. I'm healed. I still have my little setbacks every now and then, but I've been through enough where I can cope better. So, I was able to tell him this is the reason why, because I had daddy issues. My daddy didn't show up on Christmas. I was sitting there looking out the window, like, where's my daddy?
No, for real, seriously.
And that's traumatic.
That makes sense. That makes sense because I have a type that I had, and it was because of my father not being present in my life. He was present, but my father was a very stoic man. So there's sometimes a feeling of emotional unavailability. And for a long time, I would wonder, why am I picking men that are emotionally unavailable? And I'm like, oh, because they remind me of my dad.
Exactly. So that goes back to what she said. Like, it wasn't just appearance. She said she was attracted to like the big guy, like
a physical type.
And my stepdad would look at me. He'd be like, "Why?" He was like, I'm here. I show up. Like, I do stuff with you. Like, my daddy take me fishing with him. Like, with all of us. Like, he gets up and cooks us breakfast, cleans. Like, he'll sit there. He a big kid. He sits up there and play with us and talk to us. He asks, like, my dad is available for me. But he was like, it's just not making sense why you would pick a guy that treats you like that. And so, I don't know, because my sister, he has the same issues with my sisters too. Like, they pick guys they know not good for them, but they like them because they hood guys with goals in their mouth. By the way, I don't date men with goals in their mouth. But, they attracted to, the street type of guys. Not me. Like, I like decent guys, but it's just like, I that's a big pet peeve for me, Kea. Like, they don't call back when they say they will. Or we get to the day we supposed to go on a date, and then you stand me up. Like, why?
Oh, no, never.
Yes, I just stood up.
And that goes back
to
I
mean, I'm not saying, I think mostly everybody has. I have been too, but I'm just saying that would never, if you do it once, you ain't gonna never even get a chance for a second time. There's no way, unless somebody perished, had a heart attack, and you can, prove it, and I believe you, there is no way we're gonna ever set up for a second date if you stood me up on the first one. No.
Oh, I haven't. Oh, no, I'm just saying, but that has happened to me before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. I'm saying
not the same person.
It's happened.
Yes.
It can happen. No, I'm just saying, well, you know what? Maybe that's from my stoic dad. I have a very easy key to turn people off. Like, I think I'm friendly, but I don't tolerate bad behavior. And then when I say it, I really mean it. I really don't. I really, really don't. But I think that's a good point what Kea is saying to you, that maybe have you ever considered that in counseling or coaching to kind of find out more about why the picking the same type of men?
Yes, I'm actually looking for a new therapist, a new counselor, all that, because I was, trying to support Black owned therapists, but I think the girl was like my age, and it was just like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she like digging deep and like helping me get to a healing place where I need to be. So,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm actually, if y'all have recommendations, please inbox me.
Okay.
But gosh, I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, I don't. And I felt like in the beginning, like if a guy don't turn, if he doesn't return my call or respond to a text message in a certain time frame, I'd be like, done. Like I move on. Like, and people was like, you can't be like that. Like you will forever be single if you just cut people out for little stuff like that. And I'm like, no, like I need to have standards. Like you have guys who play games on their phones all day. You mean to tell me it takes you an hour to respond? You can respond within, I don't know. It just depends. But after a while, when you keep seeing the same pattern, it's just like, okay, clearly there's not some interest. Are you dealing with other women? Like, then stuff will just start going through my brain. I'm just like, yeah, I just don't have time for it.
I feel like if you're transparent with a person and give people the behind the scenes, like why this is important to you, and they still do it, and that's even with friendships. If I tell you, like, okay, Taquilla, this right here means so much to me, and you still do it anyway, you basically saying I don't care about what you feel. So, in a guy that's really interested in you, when I realized that I was like, my boo is my boo, the first thing that he said to me, Taquilla, I was in my feelings about something, and he said, all you have to do is call me and say, he said his name, fix it. He's like, I'm feeling. He said, tell me what you feeling, fix it. And moving forward, that's what we've done in this person. That's what I said is a separation between boys and men.
I
So
was
we
about
have
to
to
say,
learn how to be
mature one.
Yes, transparent with how we feel. So that taught me to be say what I'm feeling. He's still working with me so quick because I still be going back sometimes if you want to be drama, but we have to be clear on what we are feeling and say, hey, so if John, whatever he's doing to you, that's just a made up name, guys. Will y'all be trying to put a John in here? So if you say, John, I'm feeling this type of way, and John keep doing it, then John is not the one for you because John evidently don't care. Like what Aubrey said, unless somebody's in the hospital or the ventilator, you don't just not show up to a date, or you don't just,
Oh, that had my daddy so mad, and my brothers, because my brothers, even though my grandmother has a husband, like my brothers will take my mom and granny out, like, go on and get dressed, girl. We finna go somewhere. Like they do stuff like that, so I see it's being done. Like I know how to be treated, but it's like, why? Why do you put up with that? And I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, so we just, like I said, have to stop being ashamed. Like you could be vulnerable, but don't stay in there. If I tell you something, that don't mean I have to walk down the aisle with you. I can tell you like, hey, this hurt me, and if you don't change, what I'm saying, like in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I tell you this hurt me, even if I tell Aubrey that, like, hey, Aubrey, it hurts me when you says do this to me, do this, and she continues it, then that friendship may not be something that's healthy for me because I just can't, stay in unhealthy relationships at this point. So we just have to learn.
Like standing firm on boundaries.
Now,
right. And do you think? And I'm sorry, I got to jump in. Do you feel like that you can set those boundaries? Are you okay with setting boundaries in dating and in friendship?
I feel like I have, but I've told my like I'm being like too demanding about my boundaries. Like, if I want to see a guy, like, hey, I always ask, like, when we're dating, how often do you feel like we should see each other during the week, depending on work schedules? Like, what's a good, how many days? Then like, balance. One or twice, and I'm like, to me, I'm like 3 or 4. Like, to me, that's healthy dating for me, and like that comes off clingy and this and this and that, and I'm just like, dang if I do, dang if I don't. Like, it's like sometimes it makes me feel like what I'm asking for is too much. So it's kind of like that's when I double down and be like, okay, let me compromise a little. So does that make sense? Like it's almost like I bend on my boundaries to try to please people.
So in that case, it may be like a compromise because Ari will tell you I'm the busy one around here. So I'm the busy one in the relationship. Like, what? You want to do what? Like, how often? So it would be me, like the female version of that.
She's a little control in there sometimes.
So
Yeah,
sometimes you
I was
have to
told
like
I can be controlling. Yes,
find
like
out
I
someone's
can own
schedule.
that.
Find out more, because there could be like say, people have, at our age, people have children, their parents they're taking care of now. There's other things that come into play where, it may not be a lot of time, but we do make time for what we want to make time, whether it's just a FaceTime daily. But, there's always compromise to Quilla, I think, and
Yeah.
Aubrey. So can we talk about your boy Habibi? Habibi, how you pronounce his name? Habibi?
Baby, his name is Travis. Let me tell y'all, I cannot pronounce.
Baby, girl.
I struggle.
That's something I couldn't understand. I loved you. I was still riding with you when you made the comment about the men like drama. They like women with a little bit of drama. I was like, okay, now I don't believe that. I don't buy that, but I'ma still ride with it. But when you just so much embraced Habibi, no matter how he affronted the women, no matter how he disrespected them, I was like, come on, Taquilla, come
But
on
you
now.
have to understand, I wasn't always around Habibi when he were having conversations, so I didn't actually see the level of disrespect until I watched the scenes.
So, after the show was in the can. Oh, you're right. Now that's true. I do
So,
try to remember that. Right.
yes. So
his name Travis, right? Travis?
Travis.
That's
Travis,
his real name. You know that man's name ain't no Habibi with that tablecloth on his head.
Travis, yeah.
well,
I done found out his
Travis.
real name was Travis to after the show. I'm like, this whole time I'm calling this boy Habibi, but I didn't think to even ask because I'm like, Habibi, like I've had every conversation, deep conversation, family, generational curse conversation, everything with Habibi. Never knew his name was Travis.
Well, Travis said that you remind him of him. Okay, so I was sitting there watching. This was episode 2 now, so I'm
Okay.
sitting there looking like
Habibi really is okay. Let me just say, Habibi really is cool. He's very smart, but he knew how to play the game. Like when cameras start rolling, you saw the crazy side of Habibi. When them cameras off, Habibi is so cool. That's why everybody was like, they brag on him in their interviews. They was like, Habibi cool. What you see is what you get with Habibi. He's funny. He's like that cousin that you be so excited to see at the family barbecue. That's Habibi. Like I would
and
be
I
in
just
tears
see
on
it.
set, crying, laughing at Habibi because we would be making jokes, just laughing, just having fun. It was literally a platonic relationship. Like I'm like, and I told him, I was like, I wouldn't dare take you serious, but you remind me of a family member. But
Yeah.
I keep you as a friend connection, see how far we can get through this process with each other.
Well, I can imagine why, because he said he just like to cheat. So he's like, I'm a cheater. So
Yeah, the fact that he was honest enough, because if I asked every guy on this cast has they ever cheated, and they all said no, I'm like,
red flag.
major red flag. Habibi was the only one honest enough to admit he cheated. And he told why he cheated.
Hello.
So I respect the
Okay.
guy who's honest.
Okay, you have frozen up. Your screen had frozen for a sec.
Yeah. Am I good?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay.
Yeah. So you were basically saying to us, I think we missed a portion of what you were saying, but it sounds like you were basically saying you like a guy who's honest and straightforward. Is that it?
Yes, who's honest and straightforward. He didn't lie about cheating, and I respected that about Habibi. Anything I asked Habibi answered it truthfully. So to me, don't take my option from me. Tell me the truth and give me the choice to see if I want to deal with you or not. On a friend level, I was cool with chilling, getting to know Habibi because I was like, he gonna keep it real. I know I'm gonna get the real from him.
Yeah, he did. I was surprised. I was like shocked. My mouth hit the ground when he was saying about being a cheater and why he cheated. He came out with that, and he just kept it like real, very, very straightforward. But one thing I want to say is, as women, we got to be very careful of putting this label on saying that a man is honest because he told us that he cheated. Because here's what I found, and this is just my experience: men that will tell you that they cheated, tell you how they cheated, why they cheated. My woman didn't do this, so I went over there so I could get XYZ. That sounds like he's being honest and he's being straightforward. But here's the thing: if he gets into a relationship with you and you're thinking that he's honest, chances are he's not going to be honest once you're in a relationship. The same pattern of behavior that he had for the last woman is probably likely the same pattern he'll have for you. And he'll lie to you because now he's got something to lose. But he's willing to tell you all this and that because why? You're not sleeping with him currently, so he doesn't really care.
Correct. Oh, I told him he was disrespectful, but they won't show that part because they want to paint the picture like we was just this crazy connection that really was like feeling each other. I'm like, oh, y'all, they didn't dare show y'all where me and her baby had moments where we was cussing each other out, but they won't show it. I'm like, why y'all don't show the real with me and her baby? Because that would have definitely painted the picture of the connection. Y'all would have knew it was a friend connection from those conversations.
And also,
they wanted to keep you one dimensional. It sounds like. Go ahead,
yeah,
Kea. I'm sorry.
they definitely.
And also, guys that tell the truth, quote unquote, that's because they are looking for that type of woman who will accept the foolishness. Because I know guys that have told me like, "Oh, well, my wife or my woman know what time it is." Well, what time is it?
Because I ain't on that type of time.
Cheating time. That's what time it is. Cheating time.
Your foolishness because your wife understands.
Get somebody.
Or she knows what time it is. So yeah, so there's always something with that. But it was just hilarious when he said, "Well, we decided we alike." I'm like,
no, we not alike. Do you know how many times I told her, baby? I'm like, no, we are not alike. And what he was saying was, we are a lot alike in how goofy we are, and how we like to joke and play around.
So can we just go ahead because you were on 3 episodes. So when we get to episode 2, so I'm gonna keep it real with you again. That date, so that group date that you guys had. I was like, well, why did she invite Janelle? I mean, Janelle. I said, was that list intentional? Did production put that list together? Because it was just a weird group of people. So I was like, was that intentional?
Production planned. We never plan our dates.
Okay.
They put people together who they know will eventually clash. So from that night, everybody saw Janelle's personality. Okay. And a lot of people were not as nice to Kira. So I was like, I'm very observant. I pay attention to a lot of stuff. I sit back and I observe. And Kira reminds me a lot of my best friend in college. So just her innocence and being just naive and just this happy, bubbly person. I pay attention to her surroundings. So I think production saw it. And so when I pulled up, I was the first one to get there. So they was like, okay, you're going to say you playing this date. I said, I ain't playing this date. They was like, you playing this date, Taquilla. I was like, okay. I was like, well, who all coming? They said Janelle. And I was like, who else? And then he said, Kira. I was like, so why you going to put me, Janelle, and Kira together when you know it's clear Janelle does not like Kira? Why would you do this? And he was like, just be cool. It'll all be good, though. Just have a good, positive mindset. And I'm like, okay. Then he said Phil. And I was like, why do y'all keep putting me and Phil together when it's known we're not a connection? Like, every date I had was with Phil. Tell me how much sense that makes. Like, I told them straight up, I want a date with Chris. I want a date with Marie. Keep me on dates with Habibi. Them were my 3 people I wanted to be on dates with. Even Red. I even said Red too because he was my 4th connection. I said those are the 4 guys I'm interested in getting to know. Never went on any of the dates with them. It was always with Phil. And then the day I got eliminated, y'all bring Wildcard Chris in and y'all put me on a date with Marvin. Why wouldn't y'all put me on a date with somebody else? Like, you knew there was issues with Phil, but they had to build a narrative and a storyline to get rid of me. So
okay, so that makes sense because I was wondering why that was Tommy's choice in the later episodes. I was like, why is she keep ending up with Phil? She just checked Phil on episode 2 in the group date. So what are we doing here?
This is the only thing I didn't like about this experience because I came to this experience like I poured my heart out in the application process. I was very honest about my relationship experiences, and it's like you come to this journey, you spending money on makeup. I'm spending $100 and some every day get my makeup done. You have to have your hair done. I bought a new wardrobe that didn't align with none of their dress codes. So I was like, I'm not buying a whole new wardrobe. Like, I'm gonna just have to put pieces together as I'm going. Like we
Oh
just put
no.
so much money into this and then taking off work. Like I didn't work for 3 weeks, but I'm glad I had money saved up to cover my bills and stuff. So it was just like for you to, no matter what, I came to this process. There was no way I was gonna make it to the end because producers control who they want to make it to the end. So it was like I showed up to a process thinking I'm fully committing to something, but I wouldn't have stood a chance either way because it wasn't in their storyline for me to make it to the end. They already knew who they wanted to make to the end. So that's why I say it's different from a viewer to a castmate because we got to see the real as a castmate versus what you viewers see.
Exactly. So, that's one of the reasons why, after interviewing, several of the, previous casts, and you find out the real, you're like, okay, so what we're watching is not what we're really thinking we're watching until we get to talk to you guys. So, I'm here for the tea. I'm nosy.
Yeah.
So,
Let's get into it.
when did Janelle? Okay, so I didn't see it at first because again, I was watching it because Aubrey had me watching it because I did a couple of her panels, and my other friends, try to get me to watch the
Because
show.
she's a podcaster. That's the real reason, Taquilla. And if
So,
I have any say
Okay.
so about it, you'll be right up here podcasting with us too. Go ahead.
so I was like, okay, so I didn't catch Janelle Shade at first. Okay, I was oblivious. Okay, I was just like, okay, what happened? So I'm watching the episode. So when did the tension with you and Janelle start? Because I was one of the ones that was like, I guess on the Janelle, like, oh, she's pretty girl.
Oh my
Now,
God,
let me put a pin in. You were absolutely stunning because when you came out in that black dress with the black hair, I was like, okay. And I've always said that. I was on the panels, like, okay, she's very pretty, Taquilla.
Yes.
But like I said, Janelle had us in that little zone. And then when you would say something to her, I was like, well, why she say that to her? Now it's obvious it was more going on behind the scenes, and but it had you looking like you were just pulling like I don't like you. So can you elaborate and tell us when did it start, or did you see something that was just like?
It was from the mixer, the way she was acting, and we weren't in the best conditions. It was hot out there. We didn't have no food. Like we had plenty of alcohol and water. And like having to keep reshoot scenes, we're in heels, so our feet hurt, and we was like, it's all day. We was outside all day. And so of course, it was done on purpose because they want the drama, they want the tension to build, so they put us in the worst conditions to get that type of reaction out of us. So we all saw, some little frustrations from her, and I mean, I've heard several people was like, "Oh, she gonna be a problem," or she's gonna be too much. Like, let me stay far from her because how she was acting. I know I did. So there wasn't any direct issue with Janelle and I. Like we talked a little bit at the mixer. It was very brief. I went up to her, I was like, baby, you are beautiful. You are wearing this dress. And she was like, thank you. And just very brief conversation. And then I went on to the next person. So then we met up for the brunch. And as we're arriving, her and Jessica, they're getting out the cars and they're walking up to get mic'd up and do their COVID test. And they both gave me a hug. I was like, hey, Taquilla. And I'm like, oh, I'm nice to everybody, but I didn't know if they would be friendly just based off how I saw their behavior. So I just stayed clear. I just stood to the side and was quiet. But when they walked up and hugged me, I was like, oh, okay. So we had small talk then. Like Jessica was kind of helping me with my dress, adjusting it, fixing my hair and stuff. Like if I had to pick out of the two, Jessica's more friendlier than Janelle, but they both have strong exteriors. So but it was never an issue with Janelle and I until the brunch. After that, we had small talk. I didn't even really get to talk to Janelle because I was focused on dating. It was when we did that group date at the bowling alley, and they told me this was my date that I planned. And then after that, she was like, I've been trying to, like, as I was about to leave, she was like, T, come sit down, let's talk. I've been trying to catch up with you. So I sat at the table with her, and we were not mic'd up or anything. And so we were just sitting there getting to know each other. Producers was trying to hear our conversation. So we drinking and we just getting to know each other. It was like we were just talking. Like she just wanted to talk, and it was good. And so as we finished eating and stuff, we're walking out, and she was like, "I've been wanting to get your number. What's your number?" And I was like, don't know if I'm gonna give you my number. I was like, but we can talk about it. And she was like, well, can you give me a ride home? She was like, I live down the street. And I was like, sure, perfect time to talk. We can have a one-on-one conversation in the car. So we're talking in the car, and she was like, so how you liking the process? Who you feeling? Who you not feeling? And so I told her, I was like, Chris, I'm feeling Chris, Maurier, Red, and I said I like Habibi. I think he's here for entertainment purposes, and you know what? I'm
Right.
not
I
mad at
always
that.
felt that with him. I always
Yeah,
felt that
I
he
did.
was
I said I
production.
really do. I said I think producers are gonna keep Habibi here for entertainment
Mm-hmm.
purposes because he's so fun. And she was like, "Yeah, I don't like him." She was like, "He's nothing but a clown to me." And she was like, "Okay, well, who's in your bottom?" And I was like, "And it's not registering to me that she's strategizing because it all makes sense now.
Right.
Like
She's just trying to
I
ask
think
you
I'm just
questions.
having a genuine conversation with her. Just she just want to
Mm-hmm.
get to know how I'm going through the process." And I was like, well, in my bottom is at the time it was Marvin, Q, and Phil. And I was like, I'm just not Marvin. It was like me and Marvin had a really good conversation, but it was like we never talked again, and we just kept walking past each other, not talking. And he said the same thing. He said, I thought I said something that kind of made you upset. And I was like, no. I was wondering if I said something because we talked about his daughter, his family, and I was like, I don't remember saying anything that I felt like would be off-putting for him. So when we came to that resolution, we was like big misunderstanding. And so when so at that time, even before we went into elimination, like Marvin was we just hadn't talked. And so a lot of the ladies was asking him, why aren't you talking to Taquilla? Like, what's you need to talk to her, what's going on? And he was like, I haven't done anything to her. I thought she was mad at me or something. So Quentin, it was just like, man, Quentin told me at the mixer when he made the comment that he's from Miami, and there's no one in here that he would normally go after, and he's always
Right.
dated.
I remember that. I think was it like episode 1 or 2? He said that.
Yeah, that was episode one.
I was like, well, wait a minute. What you here for if you don't find none of these beautiful women attractive? I mean, we got all shapes,
That's
all
what I said. All
complexions.
shapes of brown and sizes.
Right.
There was no woman on our cast that was ugly. So for you to say there's no one in here that you would normally be go after or attracted to, and that night in that moment when I was talking to him, he told me Janelle and Sierra were in his top. That's what he said. Janelle and Sierra. So to me, I'm just like, I'm not even gonna waste my time with you. That was all I needed to know. So he went into my bottom just based off that alone, and it was fine. I wasn't trying to get him eliminated. I'm just like, he's just not. That's not a connection I want to explore.
Right. But what I mean, real quick, what would you say once he said that Sierra and you said it was Sierra and Janelle were in his top? Did you feel like there was not room for a third person, or he already had his dance card was full?
That's just who the two he said, and I was like, oh, okay. And then by then I was like, okay, that's when they was telling us, okay, guys, it's time to wrap up. I was thankful because that's how the conversation ended.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Kea. Kea got
I missed all the tea, the juicy tea, right?
Oh well, you should have stuck around, girl. Had me up here biting my nails.
It was
and what I was telling you, I was saying pretty much after the bowling day, me and Janelle was sitting at the table talking. She wanted to talk and catch up. And we were eating and having drinks. It was just basic conversation, like what kind of work you do, how do you, where do you live, where you from? It was just the basics. Okay. And then as we were getting ready to leave, she asked for my number. She said, I've been trying to get your number. I was like, hold up. Don't know if I want to give you my number. I need to have a conversation with you. And so she asked me for a ride home, and I gave her a ride home. So I'm like, perfect. This is the perfect time to just have a conversation with her, see what's going on. Like, why is she having issues with Kira? Like, why? I don't like to see people being treated bad. I'm like, this is supposed to be a fun dating process. Like, I really didn't want it to be drama. I really didn't. And that's what I was trying to get. Because I'm like, if I could just try to help navigate this, it won't be drama. Silly me. So she was asking me who was in my top, and I told her Chris. Chris was always number one for me. Chris, Maria.
Wait a minute, Chris, Nigerian Chris.
Nigerian Chris, yes.
You're going to have to explain that a little bit more, but go ahead.
I love Chris. I love him.
Okay. I don't remember seeing any dates with you guys, though. That's the thing I'm thinking about.
I got eliminated. I asked for my dates to be with Habibi, Chris, and Maria.
Okay,
And red, and
gotcha.
I even said red too as my fourth person because those are the four people I wanted to
Hmm.
explore my connections with.
But
So she
in the
actually was,
meantime, were you and Chris talking on the phone or something?
yeah.
Because how was this the
I
process?
talked
How
to
was
I talked
connection developing? Go ahead.
so the next day after the mixer, I talked the next day. Habibi called me, Chris FaceTime me, and Red FaceTime me.
Oh, okay.
So I talked to them every day. I just never got to go on a one-on-one date with them.
Oh, so you were talking and getting to know each other. Okay.
Yes, we would talk on the phone and text. Yes, I just never got a one-on-one date with them because they kept putting me on dates with Phil.
Yeah, so when she said earlier, Aubrey, that production had a narrative, and that's what I've learned over the seasons, that they will put you with who they want to put you with, or the
Oh yeah.
golden couple, the couple that looks good together, or the ones that
Pretty
want to stick
much.
together.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
everybody from Instagram is all into this power couple ideal of people that look aesthetically good together. Therefore, they must be, i.e., a power couple, and they're gonna rule the world because they look good together.
Yeah, and the people with the most followers, if y'all haven't noticed, they the long.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right. That is so true. Exactly. Exactly.
The ones with not so big followers got eliminated first.
Ah, okay. Now I didn't look at it that part of it, but I see what you're saying now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I know earlier I mentioned, your body language, Taquilla, sister, because it's me. When my legs start shaking and if I say certain words, y'all better move the tables. But
Yep.
when you start shaking, doing this back and forth at that in the ladies' lounge or whatever it's called, when Tommy sit down with you guys, I knew. I said, okay, what's about to happen now? Because she's trying to contain herself, but it's hard to contain when you in that type of environment where you on camera and everything is going on.
Yeah.
So a lot of the audience, again, I didn't realize that Janelle was making slick comments at the time. What was it had to
She
be
was
something
so
more.
nice off camera, but when that camera turned on, oh, it was a whole different person.
So a lot of times in these YouTube streets, for like 2 years, we talked about colorism. So that's one big thing in these YouTube streets. So you mentioned the only reason why people were attracted to Janelle or going after Janelle was because of her color. Can you elaborate on that? Because I don't think she's really that light skinned unless she's lighter in person. But what can you
She's
elaborate?
definitely lighter than me.
Okay.
Janelle is actually the color of my three sisters.
Okay.
She's light skinned. But I haven't experienced colorism, only in the workplace. Racism, colorism, I know the difference.
Okay, because you were just like, the guys only want you because you're your color, and I was like,
because let me tell you, just from watching previous season, if y'all haven't noticed, like and I'm just being honest, people. Let me put my charge up on my phone. Like the bigger people never last throughout, make it to the end of the season. So, like just watching, if you've watched Ready to Love all the way to the end, none of the bigger heavy sized people never make it to the end. So I didn't realize how sweet Janelle was to the guys into the show air, because we was like, if she's like this, like she's not as sweet and nice to the women, but the way she was with the men, I'm like, oh, so now I see why they liked her, because she showed a different side, but we didn't get to see that.
Right,
we never got to see that. So I'm like, how can I like somebody? Well, men love drama. That was my mind. Men love drama because
oh Lord,
keep up she can bring a little drama. And so that was one thing. And then I was like, it has to be because she's light skinned. It's just like, and when I made that comment in that moment, it was more of production is not holding her accountable for her actions. So she's getting away. And I was pre-warned by people from previous seasons that colorism is real on Ready to Love. Like you'll see light skinned women get different treatment from the other women. And so I kind of went into the season with that in my mind too. Like, I wonder how I'm gonna be treated if they're light skinned women here. So it was kind of like I kind of got a heads up, and I went into that with that mindset, like in the back of my head, like, hey, if something seems unfair, it's because they're gonna get special treatment. So like by this time, a lot of people had complained to production about Janelle's behavior. and it was like, hey, we're looking into it. We're, they're telling us stuff we wanted to hear, but nothing was being done.
Okay.
So the fact that she was, one thing, you're not gonna talk to me like I'm your child in a condescending behavior. You're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
throw shade at me or make little smart comments, and I think I'm gonna react to it. And by that point, in that level, I was so upset with production. I'm just like, the one time I stand up and react, I got sent home. This girl has done stuff that people have been, castmates have been complaining about, and she's still there. So I'm like, what's the difference?
I think
Um,
it if women, if I could just interject very quickly for our viewers that watch the show, haven't seen the show. Kea, why are you signing in? I guess your other device is just trying to sign in. I don't understand because I see two Kea Simones here. What's going on, girl?
I only see one.
I know, but because I have the controls, I can see things that you can't. So which one are you gonna use? You got to turn the other one off. Okay, here, let me put you back up. Okay. But I want to be very clear, or at least try to clarify. So some of the viewers are going to be very confused. T, they're going to be confused by the fact we're looking at your picture here in the background. As you can see, we got your thumbnail up,
Oh
right?
yeah.
They're looking at you right here on the screen in front of them live,
Okay.
and no one would ever look at you. Well, let me not say no one because I can't speak for everyone, but most people in our community, I believe, no, most of us would not consider you dark skinned. Okay.
Okay.
So I think that what a lot of people, with colorism, I think the thing that we also have to take into consideration, that colorism is broad in the sense that, for black people, a lot of times it can be subtle shades of brown, subtle shades of beige, and it can also include even facial features, some features being more African and more broad, and some features being more European like, let's say, right?
Yes.
Some hairstyles being like if someone chooses to wear their own natural hair, and maybe their natural hair, like for example, my hair is coily naturally, right? As
Mm-hmm.
versus someone like Janelle who wore something, her hair, she wore it in a long curly style that's a little bit more European, but with a little ethnic mix to it, if you will, right?
Yeah. Beautiful wig. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna say hair. I will leave that part alone, but yes, but definitely we could see that. So I think that people have to take all of those things in consideration so that when we talk about colorism, there could be two people very close in color to the eye, but one might have more European features, more European hairstyle, weave, i.e., weave or wig, okay, versus the person that's sitting there wearing their natural hair. Like you could even say, for example, like Sierra, who probably was the lightest person on the cast as far as females, she had at one point, she had the platinum hair, her natural hair short, and then she comes in one day with the long wig on, right? So from that perspective, I just want people to kind of understand that colorism is actually very layered and complicated at times.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm supporting that. That's in support of what you're saying, because on this show, and I was going to say not just on this show, but in our community, in our
Mm-hmm.
country, and what I'm going to be willing to say, and people can agree or disagree, this is just my opinion as someone who grew up north in Michigan, but spent my summers in Texas in the South or Southwest. There's colorism is a very big part of Southern culture. Colorism, I've seen it with people how they treat my children. One
Mm-hmm.
child is biracial and one child is not biracial. So colorism, if you're light and bright, very acceptable in the black community. If you're brown
Absolutely.
and dark brown, you may not get that same treatment, and that's real. I don't care what anybody says, that's very real.
Definitely real.
And I only brought it up because I know, like, the streets we talking, what you read, I'm sure you read Taquilla like I read, we see what triggers people, because again,
Right.
it was
Right.
just one of those things. And I just noticed that, like I said, for the YouTube streets, we've been going back and forth. That's another reason why I stepped away. Like, okay, we've been talking about this for 2 years now.
Yeah.
More than that, but it was real intense in these YouTube streets about colorism, what is and what's not, what Aubrey just mentioned. Because
Well, yeah, because Sierra made it real far for her not to have connections. And so it was just like, it was just different. And that's no shade at all. It was just different perspective I noticed.
yes, I'm looking at your picture right now in the background. You are absolutely stunning. Like
Thank
you are like
you.
they messed up. They should have been like, "Hey, girl."
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So now we still talking about that whole situation. So like I
Yeah.
said, I see your body language. I knew it was coming because like I said, I know my body language. When it changed, I tell my friends, okay, if you ain't seen.
Yeah.
So what triggered you to get up? Because when you got up, you was like, enough is enough.
Well, it had already been a long day. Like, I had a miscommunication issue with producers about my wardrobe. I started my cycle on the way there. It was raining. You know, me and Ari stayed the furthest out of everyone. So we would both be driving like an hour, maybe 10 minutes to wherever we were meeting at in Dallas. And then that was the day before me and Janelle just had that car conversation. I thought it went well. We hugged afterwards and everything. And then the next day it was like, it was just intense. So it was like a build up. It was just like, I really wasn't in the mood for no drama. And then when the conversations first started with Tommy, like everybody got to speak their truth and who they liked it and who they disliked it. But when it came to me, I just kept getting interrupted. Sierra and Janelle kept over talking me. It was to a point to where Tommy was like, "Hey, please let her talk. I'm talking to her. I've allowed y'all to talk. Let her talk." So it was just that situation, and it was just like by that time she made that little slick comment because when she said they don't, that's why nobody likes you. I'm like, how do you know who likes me or not? It's technically day 4. How do you know who likes me or dislikes me? Like I haven't even had dates with the guys, all of the guys. Like I've only been talking to my connections. So how do you know who likes me or who doesn't likes me?
And that's all crazy because she just rolled in your car. So you're like, girl.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to understand. Like, you ain't even got a car. You asking me for rides, and you trying to
And
be
that's why they don't
disrespectful at
like
the
you. I'm
same
like,
time.
to me, that was a low blow. It did offend me because I'm like, who are you to say who like me and don't like me? I felt like it was a low dig and it caused me to react. One, I don't hang around people that brings out a bad side of me. Like I don't hang around shady people like that who make little. No, when I'm around people, I like to laugh and have fun. So being in that environment, I'm just like, yeah, no, you know, I don't, yeah, I just wasn't feeling it. And that's what caused me to react. Cause I'm just like, and I even told the producers when they put me to the back, I was like, y'all can go ahead and send me home. And they was like, yeah, this is just how she is. And we don't want to keep putting you in situations where it'll cause you to react. And I'm like, yeah, cause I won't back down. I've always been taught, baby, defend yourself, stand up for yourself. Don't be ashamed of nothing. Cause when it comes to light, you going to have to stand on it. So it was more like, I won't back down. Win, lose, or draw, I'm not backing down.
So I love the sisters, sisters support each other. So my question when I was watching that, no matter how anyone, who was Janelle's friend or, the cliques, did any other women like come and, show you any support? It's like you said, the men showed you support after the first nomination when you were upset. Did the women come by and show you support, after that situation and say, because you still had tears when you came back. So
Yeah,
you
I was so mad because, like I told you, when I'm mad, I get emotional. Um, Kira, Kira was the first one. When I came back, she was like, "You good, sis?" I was like, "I'm good, thank you." And then afterwards, Unique.
okay.
Those were the only two.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody came up to me afterwards or nothing, asked for my number, or tried to call or nothing. Aries outside of Kira and Unique had my number, but no, she never reached out or anything. And I'm just like, yeah, I know they're not obligated to call and check on me. We didn't come here to make friends, but at the end of the day, you know how hard it is. And like even in a corporate setting, just like in life general with women, like I always operate from a place of sisterhood. So I have a heart, just like when Leanne got eliminated against me. I made it a point to get her number and called her and checked on her every day. Just to make sure she good because I treat people how I would want to be treated.
Be treated. The
You don't
golden
have to know
rule.
me for me to check on you to make sure you're
Exactly.
good.
we even do that in the workplace. You know, we might bump heads every day at work, but if
I
something
still have
happens
a
to
heart
you,
and care for you.
I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna give you a pass today because this one guy at my job, you know, some stuff happened. I was like, I'm gonna give him a pass this week.
Yeah.
So,
You just never know what people are going through.
What they're going
And
through.
it's like everybody thought I was crazy for jumping up, and I'm like, y'all can say what y'all want to say.
and it's also when you feel attacked, when it's like one person and you feel attacked by everyone, you know, it's just like, okay, hey, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So we don't have to live our lives out, Taquilla, in front of the camera. Okay. You were in front of the camera. Now, what scene? This is my last question for you. Well, I think it's the last question. So when you got home and finally watched the series, the season, and you heard what the guys had to say about you in that last lounge, you know, when prior to elimination, you know, when Maurier jumped in, had his little 2 cents, Phil had his stuff, you know, everybody had their little say. How did you feel watching that play out in front of television, you know, on TV where you're seeing this, like actually what they said?
One, what they said wasn't valid because Q never got to experience. Q haven't gotten a conversation since the mixer. We hadn't had any one-on-one time like that. So for him to speak, so I remind him of somebody that needs to be healed. Q, you probably couldn't even tell me where I worked at. You probably couldn't even tell me how many siblings I had. Could you tell me my favorite color? Like he doesn't know anything about me to sit up here and make a strong opinion or of me being healed. So when he said that, I was like lame. I'm gonna be honest with you, I was like, he lame anyway. Phil, I was like, the only person that could really speak truth on how they experienced me is Phil. The only person on that set was Phil. Because I had so many dates with Phil, but me and Phil never had each other's phone number. We never got to talk on the phone. So if we're going off interaction, Phil, he has every right to feel how he experienced me, and it's valid. Maurier, to me, I had a good on camera situation with him at the mixer. I gave Maurier my number that night.
Right.
I even
wasn't it Maurier that comforted you at one point on the first day?
He comforted me, and he was getting a call at the same time that his mom was being rushed to the hospital.
Oh,
so
Lord.
Instead of instantly leaving, he was like, he wanted to stay and make sure I was good, which was shocking to me. So after we left, my phone was in the car, so I put my number in Maurier's phone. And so the next day, I was like, I want to make sure his mom is okay. So, I called producers. I was calling around. Nobody had Maurier's number. And so I finally called production. I was like, well, y'all just check and make sure his mom is okay and let me know. And they was like, yeah, we're not going to give you his number. We want him to ask for your number on camera. So I was like, here we go again with this camera stuff, narratives. So I was like, okay. So when we got to the brunch, he asked for my number on camera. I actually had talked to him. He ended up calling me, and I was like, hey, I'm so glad to hear from you. How's your mom doing? Is she still at the hospital? I just want to make sure she's okay. He was like, yeah, she's so good. She's good. Had blood pressure issues. And he was like, that was really sweet. Thank you for praying and checking on my mom. I was like, absolutely. It's the least I can do. You stayed and comforted me while she was getting rushed to the hospital. So I was on my way to eat brunch with some friends, and I was like, hey, I'll call you when I leave. So after eating brunch later on their way home, I called him. He didn't answer. That's fine. There was a Sunday. So of course Monday went by, Tuesday went. So I saw him on camera Tuesday at the brunch. Then Wednesday went by. Thursday here we're at the ladies' lounge.
We lost.
Can you hear me?
We got you back.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
You're back.
That morning, on the way to the ladies' lounge, he texted me. He was like, good morning, beautiful. So in my head, I'm like, you've had my number since Saturday. I called you Sunday. I haven't heard from you in like four days, and you hit me up on Elimination Day because you want me to save you. That's how I went. So I never responded to the good morning, beautiful text. So when that happened in the ladies' lounge, they actually had me scheduled to go on a date with Maria afterwards, but it got canceled. They wanted me to go home and just cool off and just go home. And so when I got home, I texted him. I was like, because I had heard the women's lounge how that most of the girls had been talking to him every day. They had been on the phone with him for like 2 and 3 hours, or they'll be texting heavily. So I'm just like,
what?
He told me I was. Yes, he was like, I was his number one connection. I'm like, in the real world, let's be for real. You go 4 days without talking to me, it's on to the next. Clearly, we're not as connected as I thought we were. Or trying to multitask between two people. So that's fine. I'd rather you focus on the one you feel more connected to. And that's what I told him through the text message. I was like, hey, just from being in the women's lounge, I've heard how you were in contact with some of the ladies, seeing how I haven't heard from you since Sunday off camera. I want us both to go through this journey. I want you to focus on who you feel you have a better connection with, and I'll do the same. And he was like, huh, are you okay? And I was like, yes, I'm okay. I'm just letting you know how I feel. I want you to focus on who you're connected to. I never put Mario in my bottom. I still kept him in my top because I didn't want it to come from a place of like resentment or just feeling some type of way and block him. So I was like, yeah, I just want you to focus on who you're connected with. And he was like, okay. Next thing, I get a call from one of the guys, Maria. They was like, Maria just dropped a screenshot of y'all conversation in the men's group chat saying to vote you out because you texting him tripping. And I was like, wow, is this what we doing? So when Maria said, let's vote T out, Q jumped in, was like, yeah, I'm not connected with her. Phil jumped in, was like, yeah, I don't have no connection with her. And, blase. So it was like, this person, I'm on the phone with this person. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll make it easy for him. I call production. I say, hey, the men's have a group chat. They're all trying to vote me out. Is it okay if I could just self-eliminate? And they was like, no, they don't control who gets voted out. They was like, don't even worry about that. And I was like, okay. So then it was just like, my next day, I was on a date with Sierra and Phil. And that was a good date. And
yeah,
they asked why. They told me to ask Phil, why do you think Tony put us on this date? I'm like, clearly we're not a connection. They didn't show where I said that. I was like, Phil, we know we both are not each other's connection. I don't know why. The only thing I could think of is I feel like you're still holding a grudge towards me, and they probably want us to talk about it. And that's when, he was like, oh, here we go again. And I'm like, well, what? There's no reason why you and I should be on a date. This has to be the reason. You still holding a grudge against me for me asking you about, an intimate question on the first night. So after that, yeah.
And I feel you because you said,
who was this leak? Who was the leak in the men's lounge? You gonna give up that tea now that the show is over?
From what I heard, Maria and Q were the people who were leaking. But I don't want to give who called me because everybody think they know who it was, but it would be someone they least expected.
Oh.
So yeah, I get why they have a show because they're making the money off of it.
Yeah,
like you said, you're doing makeup, you're doing clothes, you're driving an hour, and you want to play these games. Let me just self-eliminate because they playing.
I told them I was like, but don't waste my time because I make more money at work, so I can go back to work.
And my favorite saying, I always tell my family members, I go where I'm celebrated, not tolerated. So,
thank you. Because I'm like, what am I if I walk away from this cast? The women brought more to the table than the men anyway. No shade, but the women came in heavy.
Okay, say that.
Yeah, we came to the table bringing stuff like, let's be real, like Nigerian Chris to me was the only one, in my opinion, worth staying for. If I had to pick one guy that I would be like, oh, okay, this will be the guy stay, it would have been Nigerian Chris.
So I, asked you a lot of questions. I got a lot of tea, because I'm sure I was thinking a lot of the stuff that people were thinking. And again, I read the comments. So Taquilla, would you say that you were able to, get the audience to understand you more, or you feel better understood at this point with this interview on actually Aubrey channel?
I feel like I was more chill and open on your channel. I really enjoyed it because I'll let y'all know I went on Kojo's channel to be entertaining, to have fun, be petty, be all the things they said I was. I was not serious about that interview. But I do feel like whether I could get on each platform or do an interview and people are gonna still feel the way they feel about me. But I do feel like I feel more understood on this interview. Yes, I
Okay,
do.
that's what Aubrey wanted you to make sure you felt like you was understood.
Absolutely.
You know, a
I
lot
feel
of people have their perceptions on you, and people gonna have their perceptions on whatever we do because people have met
Right.
in real life, and they're like, okay, she wasn't like how I thought she was gonna be. Like, okay, that's entertainment on YouTube. So
yes.
I'm really a chill introvert. So I get it. People gonna still have something to say, but you go on television and put your whole life in front of the people. People have so much to say. So again, in closing, we just have to learn. People in the audience, be kind because you
Well,
never know what
Kia, Kia, before you close out, I don't, I'm not ready to close out, but I understand you got, if you got to get off, I do understand. But
Kids like she ready to go
I
to
got
sleep,
some more.
baby.
I got
I'm
more
ready too.
questions now because you bringing it. You brought it there. You brought it there like 2/3 of the way there, and it's probably not gonna take a lot longer. But I do get it. If you have to sign off, I do get it.
We'll
But I
catch
need
up,
to
Kia.
know
If
about
you
this
have to sign off,
reunion
we'll catch.
stuff, huh? I'm
I was
sorry.
telling Kia if she have to log off, I said I'll catch up with her too. We can do a one-on-one.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, 'cause I gotta find out about this reunion. What happened with Phil? I got some more questions as to
Okay.
the interview that, like she pointed out, like what was going on there. With Kojo, I was watching that and I felt like I was in an alternate universe. So
Baby, the people said I was slow on Kojo channel, but I had already told Kojo, I said I was warned how your viewers are.
okay,
They're not the nicest. So you know what? I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna be everything they said I was. Unhinged, crazy, slow, insecure. I act accordingly. I was like, I'm not gonna come up here um and be vulnerable with an audience that is committed to attacking me and not giving me a fair chance to just really getting to know me. So when I went back and read those comments, I was like, and that's why I didn't give y'all the real. That's why I didn't show up as my authentic self on his channel. Because if I did, y'all still were gonna tear me apart. You were still gonna find something to tear me apart about.
okay,
And
okay.
that's why it's always important, again, whoever's watching this, to make sure you be kind because, again, you never know what someone's going through. And not saying
Yeah.
your situation, it's just like some days, it's been days where, people, one more thing will take them over the edge. So you don't know. So just the fact that you're vulnerable enough to even get on alive, not a recorded, alive,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
that takes a lot of
that is
courage.
courage, exactly. So, just be mindful, people, when you're watching this. If you are one of those people that like to be trolling the comments, being mean, just be kind. Again, we all have our opinions, but, just think about it before you
We're
just
still
write it.
here. Yes.
Yeah, we're all still human, and I think what some people forget is they say, "Well, you agreed to be on this show, so therefore you can be a target for our cruelty, our meanness, our abuse," and that's not the case.
And
That's
they
really
and they
not the
always
case.
quick to say when they signed up for this, they knew what they was getting themselves into. You accepted an offer of their work. That don't mean you signed up in a customer service role to get cussed out. You came to give good service, but you're gonna get cussed out. Doesn't mean you signed up to get cussed out every day, but you will.
Now, I'm
That's
gonna
a
tell you
great
something.
example.
One
Great
thing
example.
about Kojo, he will get them together in the comments before. So if
He
he see it,
will.
he will stop me because I've had people attack me on his show, and he has stopped other people and stopped me like, okay, hold on, we don't do that over here. So
Yeah.
again, it's just those sometimes those trolls get through to Quilla, and that's why, like I said, I commend you for coming out here today or doing the other YouTube
Yeah.
runs because it's not easy, guys. So the
It's
people that
not.
say that stuff, you try coming up here and sit up here for 2 hours. Whether they're gonna say something about, you remember Paige. I don't
Whatever.
know if you watched that show. Someone was like, I thought Paige was beautiful. But they were like, oh, she looked like Paige. Like, why are you trying to throw shade? I think she's beautiful, but you being funny while you saying that. So people are just mean to
Yeah.
her. That's just human nature.
Yes.
Because Ayana even said that. Ayana Vincent, she said that that's why she stopped doing her show. Now she was doing a good service, but she was yelling at the people.
I enjoy her show.
But the people were talking about her, like the way she walked, the way she do this, and she said she just got tired of the abuse.
Oh, really? I didn't hear that. Really?
Oh, yes.
She said out her own mouth. I heard it. I didn't read it. She said she was tired of the people talking about the way she looked.
Oh, wow. And I met her in person. She's a beautiful lady. I mean, not just physically, but from her spirit and her encouragement and her insightfulness and her wisdom. She's a beautiful lady, but we've gotten down to as a society that everything is just based on how you look. It's almost end times, I guess, is what I'm thinking. And I guess I won't go ahead and ask you the question about the reunion. That's I've heard your response to it. Maybe our viewers have. If you feel like you want to address it, you can, as far as what happened with you and Phil. That's up to you, Taquilla.
It's not really a long drawn out thing. So when I was eliminated, of course I was eliminated from the process, but I still kept in touch with people. And so people would some of my castmates would call and vent to me or whatever. And in the process of listening to them, one was like, and Phil still brings up your name. Some of the men still, and how they think you're the ugliest girl on the cast. And I'm like, ugly? And it offended me because I'm like, in that moment, I thought back to like, okay, Janelle said they didn't, none of them like me, so maybe they did think I was ugly, whatever. But that was not nice. It offended me very much so.
But now you heard him say that yourself directly?
No, that's what was called and told to me.
Oh, okay.
And he had said that in the group chat, the men's group chat.
Oh, wow.
And so these castmates was like, and I don't know why he talking, and it wasn't from a malicious place when this was being communicated to me. When they was like, well, I don't know why he talking, because he needs to get himself together while he applying for jobs while we on set filming, and he up here telling people he filing for bankruptcy. And I'm like, wait, what? Because you never know. I never got to have that conversation with Phil, because our conversation was always around me making him feel uncomfortable. So Phil thought he had conversations about his job with me, but we never got to that point. Okay. And so when they told me that, I was like, he filed bankruptcy? I ain't asked when, where, how. I was just like, oh, the nerve of him. But okay. And that went on. That was like a split-second conversation, and we moved on to other things. Right. So when I got to the reunion, I actually was planning on apologizing to Janelle, because I shouldn't have jumped up at her. Like, I should have controlled myself better. And so I wanted to apologize, even though I felt like I shouldn't have. I wanted to do the right thing. And so right when I walked in, I know everybody didn't like my romper, but I loved it. It was different. And the feathers was falling all over the building. And so I was like, dang. And they was like, the feathers are meant to fall. So everybody had got there. Like, we were getting there. Phil spoke to everybody but me. So I was like, what he said was true. I was like, the thing about me, though, I'm going to address him on camera. I'm not going to address him off camera. So
you determined this in your mind as you guys were setting up to do the reunion?
When we got there? Yes. Because he purposely make it a point to speak to everybody around me and not me, which is fine, because that type of stuff don't bother me. It just shows how petty you are as a grown adult. So Janelle was the last one to get there, and she walks in, and the first thing she was like, who's cheap blank feathers are all over the floor. And I'm like, this girl just has it out for me. Like, she just wants to come in and start with me. And that wasn't my goal. I was like, I'm not going to the reunion to argue or fight with anybody. I'm just coming in peace, make things right, and we're going to have a good reunion. Well, that went out the door when she came in, because when she made that statement, I actually sat there and chuckled before I responded. And I did it for like 5 minutes, because when she knew the first time, when I laughed it off, she was like, dang, she's not budging. I'm not going to get her. So she kept talking about me. And then Jessica chimed in. So then I'm listening. They're like within earshot of me. So I'm definitely looking at them, listening to them talk about me. And I'm like, Unique was sitting next to me. She was like, you good? You're doing good. Just keep your cool. I was like, I'm okay. I'm drinking my wine. And it was when Sierra came in and said something. And I was just like, I'm tired of it already. Like, this is not going to be the way I wanted the reunion to go. So they want to start. I'm gonna give them what they're looking for. That's when I was like, clearly we all know these are my feathers. But if there's an issue, let me know. Like, I'm ready. Let's go. And that's when she started laughing. And that's when she was like, Taquilla, do you want to fight me? So when she banged on the table, I was like, let's go, Janelle. You want to fight? I was like, any one of y'all can get it. Whoever want to run up first, come get it. And by that time, when I jumped up, 3 of security bomb rushed me. And I was so mad because I'm like, y'all always saving this girl. I'm like, y'all, she came in here starting with me. I was sitting on this couch, minding my business, being quiet. She started with me. I react again, and then y'all remove me from the building. And she never gets removed. Second time. So I was so mad. That's when you see me push the table. And I just walked out. I was so mad. And I was crying in the back. And I called my mama too. I was like, I came in here to do the right thing, and it still didn't end up right.
And I hate that for you because, again, you know, I said earlier, at a certain age, it's so high school is cliquish.
It is.
You know, we're going to say allegedly just in case actually Aubrey decide to interview Phil.
Ooh, girl, by the way, you know he's from our city. You know he's from the D, right?
Okay. Anywho, you know, Taquilla, you get the special edition of Kea because I'm gonna be just in the chat. That just disturbed me that a man, you know, whether you might not be my cup of tea, because there were a couple of guys on the show that just was not my cup of tea. You know, like I'm just not physically attracted to. But that doesn't give you the right to say someone's ugly. You know, even if that's just so harsh. That's like the word hate. You know, you might feel that you're not attracted to them, but for him to call a woman ugly, you know, especially like you said, with us going through so much, especially a black woman. That's your mom is a black woman. I'm assuming your mom is a black woman. So for you to tear down another woman, that's disheartening to me. That's just like, and then for anyone else to, even if they chuckled at it or laughed at it when he was saying, because I always say, what did you say when you heard this statement? Right. So, you know, Aubrey come back and say, somebody said something, you know, about Kea. Okay, well, what did you say when they said XYZ? Because I want to know, was you laughing? Is it going to come back? Because I've checked people, we're not friends anymore because you thought that was funny when they said that about me.
Yeah, that's not cool.
So you know, my heart goes out to you because again, you signed up looking for love. You wrote your whole paragraph, your whole essay. You said, and you get on there, you wasting your clothes.
Yeah, and it was just like, so right before I got on that stage, that's like, I'm telling you, right before I was walking on that stage, executive producers came down. They was like, promise me you will not fight her on this stage with Tommy. And I was like, long as she don't run up, I won't have to fight her. And they was like, no, I'm being serious. And I was like, I'm being serious too. Long as she don't run up, we won't have to fight. So I was just annoyed by being like upset. And when I got on that stage, to me, at that point with Phil, I'm like, I don't care whatever disrespect looks like, I'm gonna meet you where you're at. Like, there is no level to what type of disrespect I will go to. To some, they probably be like, oh, he just said she was ugly. Didn't call for her to say the bankruptcy issue, but that was the first thing that came to my mind. So I just threw it out there and tried to hurt him the way he did to me. And so I take full accountability. I'm not apologizing. I'm standing on it. So this wasn't a global bankruptcy joke or dig towards anyone who has filed bankruptcy. This was a Phil.
Because you know what?
She got global,
baby. The people came out the woodworks. The bankruptcy crew came out the woodworks, and me, I'm like, that wasn't about y'all. That wasn't about y'all at all. That was about Phil.
It's this a man. Like, why is you coming for a woman that hard? That's what it's just like. Okay, like, you know, if you don't like her, she's not your cup of tea. Keep it moving. Why the digs?
But Taquilla, was there something that happened after you said that on the air? We saw that was aired as part of the reunion. And then once you guys left the stage, was there something that he said to you afterward in retaliation that you want to talk about?
He got to the back and he called me the B word. And so I'm like, I don't care how mad you are, Phil. I was like, I said what I said. I said, you've come for me all season. I have not talked about you bad on camera nor off camera. And you you literally like no castmate can tell you I've talked about Phil in a bad way, except that he said I made him uncomfortable. So to me, I said disrespect. It doesn't matter. And when he called me the B word, I said, you can call me whatever you want, but I meant what I said. And that's when Red stepped in and was like, yo, he was like, bro, that's still a woman at the end of the day. You still have to respect her as a woman. And I was like, thank you, Red, for getting a hold of him. Like, of course, he was mad and, you know, kind of like
he wasn't getting out of his seat trying to come for you.
No.
Come
He
at
was
you.
still
Okay.
as far as sitting in his seat. But you know, when somebody's mad, you just like I was rocking when I'm mad. But he was more like, oh, like this. But you can feel it. And when he said that, it was just like certain people heard it. And it was just like whatever. I was just ready for it to be over with at that point.
Because I don't know if you went over. I just happened to be over on the other YouTuber site that, you know, when you were telling this story over there, your interview, and one of your castmates, Aries, was basically saying that she never heard Phil say anything bad.
Yeah, I have my
after
issue
that.
with Aries is for somebody who didn't come to make friends, who never checked on me. Aries is actually blocked on my social media. She definitely plays both sides in a lot of situations. She got a pretty good edit. And I've heard this from several cast members. Like, I'm not the only cast member that has said Aries play both sides. So,
Oh wow.
I'd
Okay.
rather just not deal with someone like that. Kudos to her crew that hangs around her every day, and you know, kudos to y'all. Maybe they've experienced a different side of her, but me and from other cast members that I've heard, she plays both sides, and she currently has Phil blocked. She doesn't talk to Phil. So in her first interview, when she was doing an interview, I think on Sabrina Soul's channel, she was like, there was never colorism on the show. Like, did the light skinned girls get to eat more food than the dark skinned girls? Like, making a point like that. And guess what? You end up seeing colorism played out through the entire season of Ready to Love on our season. So colorism was definitely real while she's speaking out of term again. And then I saw those comments. For her to say that's false news and that never was said, it's just like,
right. That's what she called it. False news. You saw it. You saw it.
Yeah, I definitely. People were sending it to me. I woke up the next morning with screenshots, and I was like, I was so mad. I was gonna address it, but I'm not about to keep addressing every little thing. If that's what she want to believe and think, I'm gonna let her have it. But she sure does keep inserting herself to speak on me, who I have her blocked. I don't talk about her in my interviews. I don't reference her. I don't go looking for any. I don't talk to her.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, and I'm not trying to start anything, but I did want to ask. I'm not going to keep us here too much longer. But here's what I really want to get into, and I know because Kea was saying, okay, wow, but I got to ask you this. So there was a point where we were all excited. The first part one of the reunion had aired. I think it was late September, and everyone saw that you were about to be interviewed right after it went off the air. We were coming over to a certain YouTuber's channel to watch your interview. Got there, you know, and everything's like we all excited. We all in the chat. We're like, yeah, it's gonna be her. The real diva of Dallas is gonna be here tonight. It's gonna be T. You know, it's gonna be on and popping. And then we get the news that you were not available. You were not able to make it. That it has something to do perhaps with your mental health. Could you elaborate on that situation? What happened, as much as you want to talk about right now, and how that made you feel with what happened with that story?
So we get the assets on Wednesdays. So we see certain parts of Friday's episodes ahead of time. So I knew that interview was coming up, and I sent it to her. I was like, hey, this is gonna be something we're gonna need to address. And so I'm sending you the assets. So I sent it to her. And then I went ahead and posted on my social media because I was like, this is about to get aired, and I don't want nobody to be like, oh, T didn't bring this up, or T didn't post this, or T didn't speak on this. So I posted it. So I was taking accountability. It was when my family saw it, because I never told them what I said about Phil or how I interacted with him. And so my mama was livid. And she was so livid with me. My grandmother was too. And they was like, how can you disrespect a man on TV like that? Like, they've never heard me talk about someone like that. And they was like, what is wrong with you? Like, do you need to talk to us about, like, they thought something was wrong. And I was like, he did some stuff to me. And they was like, but still, did you have to go below the belt like that? So, of course, then my nieces were calling. Then my friends, they was like, dang. And one of my homeboys, he was like, that kind of hurt my feelings because he was like, I went through a financial situation. And for you to make a joke or to make a point like that, he was like, that kind of hurt my feelings. I was like, that was not my intention. So, okay. My phone was blowing up, started early Friday morning. And it just made my day at work rough because, like, my coworkers watched the show too. And they started seeing the clips and they was like, T, that was very mean of you. Like, you look like the B word in this situation. They was like, that was not nice of you. And I was like, I know, I take full ownership and I'll explain. So that kind of put me in a bad mood. And it was just like, I started messing up stuff at work. Like, I was just not on my A game when I started getting those calls. So I probably should have took the day off work, but I didn't. So at like 12:30, I started texting her because my interview was at 9 o'clock that night. So 12:30, I was like, I think I'm gonna cancel. Like, today has already been hard on me. It's been overwhelming. It's been a lot. It's been emotional up and down for me. I think it's best we wait to the second episode. That way I can address it all at one time.
Okay.
And she was like, I don't want you to cancel. You can do this, be a lady and just take full accountability. I said, I am. I was like, it's just been a weird day for me. I just don't want to do the interview tonight. So that person didn't respond. So about 4 o'clock, and I was like, yes, let's, I'm not going to do the interview. Let's wait to the second episode. We can reschedule to the second episode. And she never responded. So about the episode aired, and then I get a text after it aired. She was like, we're online waiting for you. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb because I had already communicated with you early enough to let you know I would rather reschedule and wait for the second episode. And as we were talking throughout the day, I actually had asked for questions up ahead of time because she gave them to Habibi ahead of time. She gave them to Kira ahead of time. Catalina, like, everybody got questions ahead of time. But when I asked for it, it was an issue. So I just started sending her stuff that I knew I would want to address in an interview before I started having a moment. And so when I canceled, I was like, well, since she has everything I want to address, we can just address it when I do the interview after the second episode airs. So when she sent me that screenshot, she was showing me how everybody was like, we're ready to hear from Taquilla. Like, we're supporting Taquilla. I was like, I can't do it. Even just rewatching it. Of course, I'm human. I have a heart. I felt bad, but it was like,
right.
He made me feel away. So I just did how he made me feel. Was it right? No, but I'm a person. I take ownership. And so when she went live and read those text messages between us and tried to paint a picture like, oh, she's just using the mental health day to not take accountability, it was very hurtful because I'm like, you're tearing me down on the platform as if you're not taking into consideration. I've had a bad day. And to continue, I've been attacked on this show from day one all the way up until now. So, of course, the viewers were eating me up, tearing me down. So it was a lot. And it was just like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I laid in my bed that whole day. And I put my phone on.
Once you got off of work, you laid down and just went to bed early?
Yes. I didn't even watch the episode. And next thing I know, yes, I was so mad. It was just like, my mama and my grandmother was so mad. Like, I disappointed them, and I hate to disappoint my mom and them. And so for them to be upset like they were with me, it was just I disappointed my parents. So that just took me down. And so, like, I had a headache. I didn't even want to, like, I literally laid in that bed.
And I'm going to say this. You don't owe any of us anything. You did your stint on Ready to Love. You signed your contract. You did what you were supposed to do. This is extra. So, I kudos to you because, like I said, we have to do mental days at work. When if it's on a smaller scale, because it's been days that I'm like, okay, I don't even want to go to work tomorrow. Like, something smaller on a smaller scale. Be like, okay, is my badge gonna work tomorrow? Like, certain things. So I get it. So, a lot of times we are selfish. We want what we want for whether it's our platform, like, Arby, was expecting you today. Things may happen, like, oh, well, call me from the hospital bed. That would have been so insensitive if you would have like said, because I know one day I had a car accident and my job was like, are you coming in? Like, did I just tell you I had a car accident? I'm on the side of the road. I'm courteous enough to call you. So I get what you were, saying, like, okay, I'm taking accountability, but I'm not feeling it. It's not going to be the best interview. And again, I commend you for taking your mental health day to take yourself in account. Whether it was, whatever we thought, it don't matter, because at the end of the day, you matter. So if you feel like that you can't get out of bed, and this to anyone that's watching, learn how to take care of yourself. Because at the end of the day, those people that put that pressure on you, they're going to go on with their lives. Take that time to sit back and, do what you need to do for yourself. I do it all the time. People say, oh, she in her mood again. Let them say what they're going to say. Taquilla, do you. Like I said, you don't have nothing in a couple of months. They ain't gonna even remember this season. We're gonna move on to the next thing. So do you,
but
don't worry about
after that, Kea. She kept doing it. Then she brought into a coach or something to speak on me and mental health. And I'm just like, so you gonna keep bringing up my name, throwing digs, like bringing attention to your channel because I wanted to reschedule an interview. So even after that night, she just kept bringing my name up. It was to the point to where Cass was like, did you okay for her to speak to a life coach and somebody about you? I was like, nope. I was like, I'm over her.
Guess what? When you okay, in the world, in corporate America, if you are out on anything medical, you don't have to explain to them what the case is. So you was nice enough to say, hey, this is what's going on. But at the end of the day, I just, I'm only passionate about this because my heart goes out to you. Like, you don't know what might take that person over the edge. It might not even just be the show. Like you said, it was your grandma. There's layers to it. So, don't feel bad about the situation if you ever did, or you still feeling that way, because mental health is serious. Trust me, I know. I have good days, I have bad days. And there's some days, that it could take you out. And you need to step away from the world just so you can make it further.
Yes. I will say, when the season first aired, like, there's a regular Facebook group of which I love. I've been in that group since the beginning of the season, and like, they have their opinions and stuff too. And so I would be in there defending my castmates, like going in because I'm like, I know what it feels like to be on this platform, go through this show, and then you have the viewers attacking you. Like, I would get in there and defend my castmates. And a lot of people have noticed this. They was like, Taquilla always defending or speaking up for somebody. We're going to see if her castmates show up for her. And so I will say, defending looks different for certain cast members like Kira and Unique, and Tamasha, who is not a castmate, but she's my best friend, who has been encouraging me and pushing through where people don't see it, and encouraging me and like crying with me and showing up, coming to my house and just showing up for me. But it was like those castmates that I really went hard for, was like defending to the T. I don't even hear from them no more.
And I'm not putting this
that's hurtful.
I'm not putting this on anyone that's on the panel, but I hate when I see on social media when someone commits whatever the word, when they unalive themselves, because I know
there we go.
So when they I couldn't think of the word, sorry. So when people unalive themselves, all of a sudden on social media, they put all these posts. Well, you should have talked to someone. You should have shared. I tell you that I'm on the brink, because I know when I was going through my divorce, I was like, listen, one more thing is going to take me over. And then people were like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like pushing me. And it was just like, I'm trying to tell you. Not that I was going to, unalive myself. I don't think I was at that point, but it was traumatic. So it's just like, people in this audience that are watching, if you catch this live later, be mindful of when you push people. Don't start feeling like, sentimental when someone famous unalive themselves, because we are all human. We all go through this day to day, and you are not the doctor. You are not that person. You don't know what's really going on. So keep your opinions to yourself and don't push that person over the edge, because I don't want to see any more posts of people saying, I wish I would have knew. I wish she would have called me. She didn't call you. She called you and told you she was stressed. there are signs, but you overlooked them when she told you she was over the edge. So I just want to say that that's my last piece, Aubrey and Taquilla, that trust what people tell you. You are not their judge and jury. Trust it, let them be.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I had to say that
Yeah,
because somebody got to
definitely
run their mouth.
been a journey. So I'm very intentional now. I only reach out to my castmates who reach out to me, and those that don't. I hope they keep up with their happy narratives on the show. I do feel like some of my castmates fed into the oh she's crazy, oh she just wants to be accepted, want to be liked. Please, if I wanted to be liked and accepted, I would be trying to link up with y'all, and I don't.
Well, and I'm just gonna say this on that. It's nothing wrong with wanting to be accepted and liked. I think that's a natural part of humanness is that we want to find friends in this world, but the thing of it is we understand as we grow and mature that not all people we meet are going to become our friends. Some
Mm-hmm.
people, most people in life are going to be merely acquaintances, merely co-workers, merely neighbors. And then if you're very, very blessed, you will find one or two true friends. Like here's one of my true ones. We're right on the panel with her right now, and that's
Yes,
Kea
I love you, Kia.
Simone, who I'm gonna when this is over, I'm gonna have a little talk with her, but that's another story for another day. And then here's another one of my darling friends is right here, is Roro for real. But that
Hey,
but
Roro.
friends, my mother used to always say, having been from Texas, she used to say, baby, let me tell you, I got if I can count my friends, I can't count them. I won't count past this one hand. People tell you I got 20 friends, I got 50 friends, I got 100 good friends, best friends. Maybe I can't speak for everybody, but for the most part, a real, true, lifelong friend, those are far and few in between. So you have to treasure each other when you have them. But most people we meet are basically are going to be acquaintances. They're just going
Yeah.
to be acquaintances. There's
Just like
somebody that you know for a period of time.
And who wants to be linked up with the mean girls or the mean guys anyway? So, at the end of the day,
it's not even the main ones at this point. It's just certain castmates. They
Yeah, oh yeah, that for you, for some of them, they're gonna be just basically merely castmates, and that's okay. I mean, it's not a bad
cast
thing. I don't mean
on or whatever.
castmates as a dirty word, but it's
but
what it is.
it happens in the real world, like even in
Yeah.
corporate America, you have like in the workplace, there's cliques. And you're like, okay, I don't do cliques.
Yes.
We're not about to be the mean girls. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just here to collect a check. So you have to just learn to, like Aubrey said, the real people in your life, because I'll call her and tell her about herself. Be like, now let me
Yes.
give you another perspective, honey.
Yes.
And she'll do the same for me. So those are those people that you need in your circle. Anybody that's watching that you just want real people. If it's always confrontation, okay, I I know you. I see
Well,
you.
no, yeah, that too. But it's also like, when you needed me, or if I was there to support you and have your back, and then now that I no longer serve their purpose, I don't hear from you. It's just like, so you used me,
That's
and
what you
so
do.
like, and it's almost like I pour into people the way I want to be poured into. So it's just like
Well,
I'm
from
in
what
a
you
good space. I'm thankful
it
for the
sounds like
time.
your block game is good, because you already said you block. So my block game good. Your block game good. The September babies, we good.
Yes, we good.
And Key, you already know my block game is like, girl,
I'll,
it's otherworldly. It's like Matrix block. Remember when
I'll be
when
asking her about
Keanu
your body.
Reeves was doing that back thing, and the swords and the things was going over his head and over him, and he was just like, girl,
And she's like, who? I'm like, you know who I'm talking about. She's like, who?
She was telling me about somebody. I tell her, you know what? I use my ADHD superpowers for good because I can forget very
Yes.
easily. So when I've found out and figured out that you're not a true friend, you're not who you represented yourself to be to me. I can forget about you so easily. People be like, "You used to know his birthday. You used to know his
Mhm.
his phone number by heart." I
Out
was
of
like,
sight, out of mind.
Girl, I mean, I can't even tell you. I can't even explain it.
Yeah.
I cannot even explain it. But to T, I have enjoyed you. I have
Thank
enjoyed this
you.
interview. I feel like you are a real sweet person. And I have to say that at one point I was starting to kind of worry about you. And if you and Janelle had some things in common with, kind of being feisty, kind of being
Oh,
kind
we have certain qualities that are like, yeah,
yeah,
we don't play.
confrontational. But no, but here's what
Yeah.
I want to say. Having talked to you and spent, over a good portion of a week off and on, just talking to you online, talking to you over the phone, talking to you through voice messages, I
Yes.
find you to be a very sweet, charming young lady. And in the grand tradition of Southern ladies, I find you to be that. That's
Thank
what I
you.
find you to be. I really do.
I appreciate that.
Is there anything else you want to say to our viewers and our audience before we shimmy and shake on out of here?
Thank y'all for loving me, supporting me. Follow
Yeah.
me at Daily Dose of Taquilla on Instagram. You can add me on Facebook too at Taquilla Burns. Honestly,
Oh,
I'm
well,
at a
tell
place.
that. Thank you.
Taquilla Burns. You can add me on Facebook. I'm a lot more active on Facebook than I am Instagram. I don't have anything special going on. I'm just at a place to where I'm just trying to, recharge and get back to being just Taquilla. And so hopefully something good in store happen. But other than that, I'm just appreciating my daily bread moments. And that's just appreciating the little things in life. So yeah, I'll support y'all, support me, and hey,
We're
I'm
gonna
around.
we're gonna stay in contact. I'm not letting you go
Oh,
because I
absolutely. Yes,
expect to have
please
you back
do.
as part of our family at some point when you're ready. I'm not rushing you to do it like right now. I want you to take
Yeah,
time and just, relax. You've done your spell on Ready to Love, but
yeah,
I would love to have you come back because, like I said, we do panels and we have quite a few of the Ready to Love alum that we've interviewed over the last 2 years come back and have joined our panel, and we love it. We really, really
yeah.
love it. And I
I
always
would love
tell you,
to.
I'm sorry.
I would love to be on your panel.
Good, good, good. Because I think you would be excellent. And then I always tell the alum when we're going through this moment right now in this interview that when you come back and you get to poke fun at the new castmates, then you kind of understand why sometimes we can get a little carried away with poking fun, but we mean it. We do it in lighthearted shade.
Oh,
We don't
absolutely.
we don't mean any harm, and we're not gonna call nobody out their name, and we're not gonna disparage or tear anybody down, but we just have
Correct.
fun with it. And we're just also sharing what we see as observations in dating to maybe help our viewers who are out there. They're also looking for love. They're also trying to date, right?
Absolutely. Hey, if anyone wants to know how to get on them or I can get you connected. Just inbox me. I'm one of those people. I will talk to you. You inbox me. I'll respond. So just hit me up, guys. Anything you want to know, I'm open. I'm open book.
All right, very good. So,
Yeah.
guys, with that being said, let me get over here on this side of the keyboards to my outro music. And Kea, anything else? I want to thank Kea. I want to thank Kea
Thank you. I
Simone.
enjoyed being here.
She's been wonderful. Yes, heart, heart, heart. Oh, and I'm sorry, I got this for both of you. I had to pull this out. This is for you. First of all, T, this is for you.
Thank you.
Kea, here's yours. I know it's corny, but it's my
It's
sound
so
machine
cute
for right
though.
now. It's the low budget version until I get my channel built up a little bit more. But it's coming, guys. We're getting there.
Absolutely.
We're getting there to that 3,000. So guys, like, subscribe. If you're watching this, go ahead and hop down into the comments if you have some thoughts. You're watching this on a replay. Tell us what your thoughts are. Leave some encouraging words. If you do nothing else, just leave us some purple hearts. You know what that's for. Purple hearts. And guys, here we go. We're gonna shimmy and shake. You guys go ahead and say goodbye, and we'll shimmy and shake on out.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Kea.
Good night.
He been like, girl, come on. I've been ready to sleep.